I got it now.
Or is that me?
Yeah, Ed's moving. Ed's talking.
Yeah, all right. Got a few others popping in. I actually forgot that part of it. So Scott Hampton's back in with the ceiling. Hi, Scott. Um, Dave, can I see? I'm the master
Try it
sound.
again, Eddie. I got kicked out.
All right. I don't know, Dane. I got you in there.
Okay.
It's tagging you, bud. I got Brand in there too. And we've seen a lot of Brand's turning this week. What are you on vacation? What?
It's hot.
Don't
It's
Yeah,
hot
tell
outside. I ain't going outside.
I don't
And I
know
ain't
how
Still
got
got
down,
power?
down south can
stuff
live
yet in the
like
garage.
this.
I did do some
you.
lasering this week, though.
Hey, great. I hope Ronnie can, well, he can't show the piece he did. Maybe he's got a photograph of it. He he did something for the commander down where his grandson took basic training in the Marines. And he did a little like a wall board or a cutting board with a prayer on it and the guy's name. It's really nice. Uh, I was trying to find out today just how well is laser going to be covered at SWAT. It'd be interesting to see, because a year or two ago that really wouldn't have clicked at all. But today, with what Brenda can do and a few of the others I see on the screen right now, what they do is really a sub topic of what we do, and it's really improving how we do our work to some degree. I mean, Ronnie's got some problems with standing up at the lathe right now, so he's butt chairing it, and he's out there under his deck and cooking it. Well, I'd say turning and burning, but he's just burning. But having a good time. Dave, did you get the stuff I sent you for the website? Has that came through yet?
I got part of it, or if you, the things you sent to me a day and a half, 2 days ago, I got. Unfortunately, the 525 video, I made that, but no, it didn't make it up because it didn't seem to be good. If you could send me a copy of the 525 video again, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I'll note that and get it out.
Also, the chat from 6-8 was truncated for some reason. If you ever send that back to me, I'd appreciate it.
I might not have the entire chat from that one. That was last week.
Yeah.
I lost. I got that bargain basement T-Mobile thing for.
Okay.
He got kicked out.
In that case, if anybody else has the chat from last week, I'll put my email in the chat, and I'd appreciate you sending me a copy of the chat so I can put that up from last week.
I didn't
But other than
realize.
that, I think we're getting back up to date. I apologize for being out for 3 weeks and messing up the website and the YouTube and not getting things up. Won't happen again this year.
Please do not apologize, sir. The website's one of the finest in the world, and we really appreciate it. And what, hey, what we're doing with what we have, we're way down the road above some of the others.
You've got to be able to take a break once in a while, vacation.
Right?
That's what it is.
And we
You have
try
to
to
put a little kink in on the website. That way you can see who all is looking at it and reading it.
There you go.
we offered to pay him to work through his vacation, but it's
He'd have to charge double time.
yeah. Well, he's not that kind of guy.
Hey, that pays really good. That's why I stayed away so long.
Completely went wild.
We appreciate your work, Dave.
It was beautiful. Every time I talked to a customer of wood turner. I talked to a lady yesterday about treating bowl blanks, and I said, "Hey, I got a great article for you to look at." And I sent it to the website. And a few minutes later, she says, "Okay, how do I join?" It's a people thing. It really is. I believe we get that from bunches of folks. Is what's it take? And it's human nature. They want to do it, but what's it going to involve? And a lot of folks now, with all the scamming going on, they're scared to death to link it in on that. I'm interested in buying a new car, so I went to a Honda dealer's website, and I want to buy the 2022 or maybe the 23 model of the Honda CVR that I currently have. We love the car. It's 10 years old, and I couldn't.
Go Honda.
I couldn't give you one bad item on the entire car. Not one single thing I could say was bad about the whole car. We're not terribly hard on cars, but 10 years is a long time for today's kind of vehicles, and it's perfect shape. But we're looking at reality, and we've since I can't drive anymore, we stepped down to one car. I would hate to be there where one car dies and we're.
Hey, Eddie.
Hey.
Yes, I can tell you what's wrong with your car. You have a loose nut behind the driveway.
Really?
No,
Gotcha.
I'm just teasing.
He got you.
Really? A loose nut on a steering wheel?
I got a question.
You used to that already.
Everybody is a member, and so and so and so. Can you track back to who, when you first started this up, and how many people were with you at that time? I was one of them.
Oh, might have.
There's several of us.
Might have tapes gone back that far, but I forget to go to gallery view and pop all the images up and then save that section. I forget to do it. But it would be nice. We're almost 3 years into it, so it would be nice to know. Although new members, that doesn't mean anything except you're a new member and they're an old member. There's no hierarchy here. I have to keep saying it because somebody says, how do I get into doing this? How do I get into doing that? Same way all those other guys and gals did. They stepped up and said, hey, can I help you with this? Can I help you with that? And as much money as we throw at them, they can't avoid to pass on it.
Eddie,
Hey,
I will never admit to being an old member.
I don't blame you. We met with the VA yesterday about my claim, and it's I'm looking for what's due me for Agent Orange and my brain tumor. And the guy looked at my, he said, how old are you? I just laughed. I said, you don't really want to ask that, do you? He says, oh yeah, right. Just give me your Social Security number. We can work from there. Because you had this look on her face like, what difference does that make? Crazy thing on that VA claim thing. I was in the VA nursing home for 5 whole days, 8 years ago, 5 days. And they had to take me out of there because I wasn't living through it. And they sent me to the closest hospital, and I stayed there for about a week until they could move me to the other hospital. And somehow the VA thinks I'm still in that home, and they keep sending my retirement funds to that home. Now, I haven't gotten any of that. So now we're trying to unbutton the vest. Boy, I tell you, real problem we talked about a minute ago, you can't talk to anybody on the phone about it. You can't. It's impossible. Brenda, I got something to show you. Let me see. I can do it right here.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That looks good, Eddie.
Nice.
Yeah. Now this is one of those two-part bracelet rings. I don't remember the name of the firm. I bought it at the spot maybe 4 or 5 years ago. My wife was there, and I took a bowl blank that I cut a ring off that had some epoxy in it, and I made one. And then I was playing around. And I found a nice burl where the light shows up. There's another one, a nice burl I did for her. But today I said I need some bangles, and she went into the dresser and came back out and said, "Yeah, we have a few bangles."
Oh my goodness.
That's not all of them. Brenda, you did this last week when we were talking about it, but for new turners looking for an interesting project. Now, this gets you points at home, okay? And they sell good at craft fairs. And we talked last week about the size thing. And got a rule right here. I'm going to take a peek at them. I'm 2 3/8 of an inch.
Mine was just under 3 and too big for me.
2 1/2. 2 3/8. Well, Cindy and my wife, Cindy and I, were talking about this the other day. I've got a bunch of blanks, or pieces of blanks. They're 5/4 material out under the canopy. And I probably want to bring them in and do something with them. I was thinking pens, but they're beautiful. The beautiful slab material, and I like to do pens on them, but I don't want to lose the value of a wide piece. So they may come in and go to being bangles or bracelets. And for new turners, this is a terrific canvas to practice on. I mean, this is just 5/4 material, turned down. It's got a CA finish on it. I did this one. It says 18, but I don't believe I did this one in 18. It might be when I finally got the sign in. I didn't have a laser, so it's in ink. But you take a block of scrap. The challenge is, and Brenda probably went through this, the challenge is, how do you hold it? And it's fun to think about how to take a block and get it to the point where you can turn this out of it. And I've looked at doing it where you do the inside and you hold it, and then you slip it on a mandrel and you do the outside. Then I got to looking at it the other way around. You hold it and you do the outside, and then you as a slab, and you do all your decoration on it, and you can do it in the Bob Moffat. I have a ball with his little spinning detailer or Sorby kit. But you put all that on the outside, get it done, put a finish on it, and then you work on doing the inside. So, we if you look at these, there's no limit. I can do it with a screw chuck and a mandrel, or I can do it with a sort of cold jaws and then a mandrel. There's about a half a dozen ways to hold these to get into it, but there's nothing part of that that would make it so expensive to do or restrictive. And I really hate this restrictive where, oh, you need to have this tool to do such and such. No, you don't. And the truth is,
I started mine between centers.
Yeah, I don't have one of my early turning tools with me. It's called a screwdriver. I sharpened it up and used it like a scraper, like a negative rake. Yeah, really. Before they were called that. Good thing I screwed up, of course, went through the ceiling if that was good. But you start between centers and you shape the outside, correct?
Yep,
Okay.
that's what I did, yes.
And then you had to hold the outside in order to do the core.
Yep.
How'd you hold the outside?
Coal jaws.
Cold jaws. Now,
Coal jaws, yeah.
I made sacrificial wood jaws so that I could turn all the way through the inside and not worry about hitting the chuck.
Yeah.
Turning
I
sand
did
through.
one side and then turned it over and did the other side.
Yep,
Coal
that'll
jaws.
work.
yeah, I had the sacrificial jaws. I just moved all the stuff around the shop this week, remodeling.
You know, they also make those rubber. They're not rubber, but they make soft jaws. Like Nova makes soft jaws that you can buy the soft jaws and they just screw right onto your chuck and you can shape them as you need. And that way, if you do the inside first, then you can hold them, with outward expansion. Although if it gets too thin, the outward expansion can break them. I broke a few doing that. But you can shape the jaws, those soft jaws. I mean, they're red. I don't know if y'all have seen them, but they, you can shape them however you want. I got buddies who make rings who shape them for rings too.
Hello.
I've got
Done
a
the
set
same
I
way.
made out of. I have a set I made out of cabinet grade plywood, and it worked great.
Yeah.
Is that you, David?
Yes. I made several bracelets. They call them bangles, and with a split core. And the way I made them is that I would finish the inside first, sacrificially hold it from the outside, and then finish the inside so you can put it on an arbor. So you can slip it right on the arbor, and the friction from the arbor will hold it so that you can turn the outside. And then all you got to do is pull it back off and turn it around and do the other side. So you could finish one side of the bangle or the bracelet, what you want to call it, but you'd already have the center of it, of the bracelet, already finished. You would put it on like an arbor on centers, and then you take and just slip that right on the friction, and it will not split it or anything, because the wood will just suck it in when you go to press it on.
What shape was the arbor? What shape was the arbor?
A round one, like a long tube. A tube, it would be round, and it would be
do
about
napkin rings.
It would be just the opposite of the same thing when you do with rings, is that you have put it on an arbor first, but you'd have the center of it finished first.
Yeah, but is it conical shape so that you can make different sizes?
Well, no, not really. I only made sacrificially. I made them extra little long, so every time I made a new size, I would just take it off take it down further to make it a larger size. So
gotcha. Okay.
It's not a permanent thing. I mean, you can make it different as any size you want, to the point where you could just have a long tube like, and then all of a sudden, when you finally get done, you'd have a short one, of making different sizes, but you could just slide that right on. I've done it. I've used it, and it worked great. It just so I could finish the outside. You just do one side first, and then you just take that off and turn it around and put it on the same side and finish the other side. So they're pretty close to being finished every time you switch it. So that's the way I do
it. David, you want to give us a demo?
No, I'm not set up for that. I don't have any cameras or anything.
Oh no.
Oh, darn.
But I might have a video or two that shows how I made them. But I mean, I'd have to go back and dig into whatever I have to. But that's how I learned. I just took the core that I think Eddie got those split cores from a guy named a guy, Bengal guy. I'm not sure, but the guy made them, and he had different sizes that you could order and guy for $30, something like that there. But he no longer makes them. So I mean, I've been trying to get them for maybe about a year now, and I've had no contact with him. So I think his website is still out there. Is bengalguy.com.
Okay.
Yep, it's in chat.
Okay. Hey, is Eddie back on? I think we lost Eddie.
I don't see him.
Yeah.
I think he came back on straight.
Must have got mad when I told him.
Just left too.
He must have got mad because I told him he was a nut.
Well, Trey's not even in his chair.
No, he's not.
Yep.
Oh, Tracy's
Are y'all
home
making
now,
everybody mad?
Hey, he's supposedly the host now, but I don't see him. There's
There he
Trey.
goes
There's
back.
Trace. We see Trace.
He's
Hi,
chasing
Trey.
you and Eddie.
Missed you.
Hi,
Trey.
Can't hear you.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I was in there peeling some shrimp for supper.
Oh, shrimp for supper?
Yeah, it's a tough supper, you know.
Yeah. Jeez.
Did Eddie drop off?
Yeah, Eddie
Yeah.
appears to have dropped.
I think I'm coming
Yeah.
back right now,
I'm still
folks.
here,
There
ain't
he
I?
comes.
We
What
can hear
is
him.
he?
Okay, I'm gonna let him take it, and I'm gonna go finish my shrimp, getting my shrimp peeled,
All
and
right.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, he's back.
All right, shrimp. Wait,
I'm still here. I didn't drop off.
don't go.
I got a couple of Freedom pens today from a Larry Morgan from Lone Wolf Designs. I don't know if anybody knows.
Oregon was the one that challenged us to do 22 pens for the Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, well, he did send me. He sent me 4 of them. They're beautiful. It looks like they're out of the epoxy. So,
Ooh.
Nice.
He was saying he was going to send them to every location we've got. In other words, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Army, the Navy, everything, the Marines. Right.
Nice.
He sent me
Very
4
nice.
of them.
yeah, he did a beautiful, beautiful job. So they just came in the mail today. So I'm definitely going to be handing them out and getting them in the hands of more people from the base. I'm in the active in the Air Force, but you know, I serve alongside a lot of Army folks too. So we can get these things out. They probably won't be able to use them in uniform, but they'll definitely be able to use them.
Good.
Yeah, they did a beautiful job. So
Who'd you say you got them from?
it's from Lone Wolf Designs. It's Larry Morgan. So
Oh,
that's his
nice
card.
job, Larry.
Yeah,
He did a beautiful job.
Yep.
Larry was endorsing the project that every single day 22 veterans, American veterans, take their lives. And that's where the 22 pins came from. And it's a terrible number to even mention or talk about.
Yeah.
I've lost some friends I served with to that. And there's help out there, but you know, sometimes people just can't go too far with that help or can't go ask for it. They're locked into their own little system. So if you have a friend that's a veteran that's having difficulties, best thing in the world to do is be a friend. Just be an honest to goodness friend. Don't judge him. Don't try to, you can't fix him. So don't do that. Just be his friend. And you'd be surprised how far that will go in helping them get through some things. it's, I talked to a guy that I served with 50 years ago. We kept teasing about meeting and having a cup of coffee or whatever. Didn't work out. So, all right, we were talking about turning bracelets, and I got kicked out because it was really great T-Mobile. And I turned off the Wi-Fi on everything in the house. And it's just, my laptop is 1 foot away from the tower for this. It won't last long. We had a 90-day deal, and that 90 days is almost up. Don't know where I'll go this time, but we're on our way. But we're talking about turning bracelets, and we had a couple of folks share some ideas about turning inside, turning outside, flipping around, putting closed jaws. I had made, like Matt was talking about, I had made some sacrificial jaws, and I had them out the other day. And I know this is right here, and I can probably see them. But there were plywood jaws that went on top of my cold jaws, or my one-way stronghold plates. And I have a video on how to do this on my personal website. But I made a back plate, anchored it to the aluminum plates or the magnesium plates, and then I made another set of discs to go over it that would actually hold the bracelet or the bauble, the bauble, and that way if you did it like Brenda said, she started between centers. If you do it between centers, then you create a circle, okay, and then you take that and place it inside of this. And one of the other guys, maybe it was Gary or somebody said, or no, it wasn't Gary. I'm terrible at names. One of the other guys said he could. You can, if you're using it that way and you're holding it, and you do the inside, you get it to size, and you make this outside piece perfect. Because it's round, you can just flip it around and do the other one. Now you got the outside complete. You put finish on it and everything. And if you created these jaws, show me, I can't find them.
Hey, Eddie.
There he is.
Dave Edwards.
Yeah, Dave.
I have a sample of here what I used to make my bracelets. The arbor. See, the way it is, I put the bracelet on this part right here and let it stick out beyond this point here, and then this here will line it up right there. You can finish the outside, but you have to finish the inside first in order to size this to the inside so that everything would be concentric.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
Say you put the bracelet on this one here, whatever size you end up with, you turn this down until it just slides on, and then you take and use this as a pressure point from your tailstock just to hold it in place, and then what you do is you turn it.
That's a nifty idea.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
So that's the way I was making them. So I mean,
yeah, and you when you're doing that, going back to Dave's thing, he's pressing it on. One stripe of Wonder Tape, that blue painter's tape stuff, one stripe of that on your holding block. After you've got one side done, take it off, and you've rounded the corner. Put it back on. You don't need to do the jam chuck on it. You can just tap it up and get it there, because all you're doing is finishing it out. You no cutting, no slicing, and everything else. And then you just roll that. And you've got the ability to roll and roll and roll and roll and roll, whatever you wish to do. And if you're holding it, if you're starting the piece out of a slab, and you're going to do the interior. Remember, that's a critical number, the interior. My critical number is 2 3/8 of an inch. Okay. But you do the interior. You're holding the block and you be squeezing cold jaws, whatever you want, and you do the interior, and you get it ready, and then you go over to that mandrel, that block you just showed you. It's like a mandrel, and you slip it on, and you shape up the outside. Now with his, you slip it on, you put a block against it to get a good friction. You can shape it, you put your wire burns, if you want to put wire burns in it, or whatever you want, you can put both of that on it. Now you have that on a piece you shaped it on. Pull the tail piece away, pull this off, put one strap of blue tape on it, one strap. Slip it back on, and now you've got that other edge that's nice and clean and available, and you go through and finish it up, put the finish on, and space, okay, I really got, I can flip around and touch it up a little bit, or I can flip it back and, you know, get that edge. You have the inside you've done perfect. And that's what you're going to sign your name on, of course. But then you've learned how to take a squeeze chuck and make it into a jam chuck, and all of it's called a mandrel. And if you think
Eddie?
angles or bracelets is silly, look at all the work you went through. Hey, Brenda.
We got a demo.
Oh no,
Volunteer for
really?
a demo, yes.
I
Dane's
think.
gonna do a demo.
Who?
Dane.
No. Jane pawned it off.
No, for napkin ring.
What'd you say, Susan?
I said it's for his napkin rings. He said he did the same thing with his napkin ring.
Yeah. Dane's gonna do a demo on it.
Oh, not tonight.
Not tonight.
No.
But
Dane,
Dane, you doing it next? Dane, are you doing it next week?
July.
Listen, it sounds like Dane talking to Dane.
Yeah. Birds of a feather, them two.
Uh-huh.
Who's doing the
Unless next week's cancels on me.
Yeah, well, Bob Grinstead's in tonight.
Yes.
Yes.
I got a question for you guys, not to change the subject.
Please.
I got part of a trunk and several branches of sycamore from my neighbor's yard.
Nice.
Sitting out there for, I would say, a year. So I took the moisture meter to it, and it's at 5.1%. So it's pretty dry. And remember that snowman I made a couple of weeks ago?
Yes.
That was out of that, but it didn't slice or dice or shave or anything else. It was all chippy. So I thought I'd try a different branch. And again, chippy. But the color is phenomenal, but I don't know what to do with the rest of the wood. Should I keep it and still chip away or what? But look at what that wood gave me.
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
Now wait till you see the other side. You see it's cracking too.
Awesome.
Look
Can
at
you
that.
pull it closer to yourself, Susan? I can't hardly see it. There we go.
How's that?
And higher.
Higher?
Beautiful.
There you go.
Yes.
I mean,
I love
that's
that grain.
gorgeous. And then when you see this over here, there's a white line and a black line. You see that before it gets to the dark brown?
Yeah.
I mean, it's gorgeous, and I'm sure all the wood is like that, but it just chips. What can I do? I tried some carbide blades. I tried the spindle gouge.
You tried reversing it? Reverse turning it?
No.
That's really hard to do.
Super glue.
Typically,
Susan, have you tried using wood hardener on it? It sounds like it's maybe a little bit punky, and any number of wood. Minwax makes one. Elmer's makes one. You can get them readily at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's called wood hardener. You just pour it on there and it stiffens it up, and that might get it hard enough that you can turn it without it chipping on you so bad.
Okay. I mean, it's gorgeous wood. It would look great on a bowl or something. And but I just
Perfect
make
would work
these.
as a hardener as well.
What's that?
The Perfects would work perfect as a wood hardener as well.
Yes.
True.
correct.
I've used
Super
super
glue.
glue.
Yeah.
I've also used shellac, a couple of coats of shellac on punky wood, and that helps some as well.
Okay.
Also had somewhat of a luck with using a basic sanding sealer. Def 10-50-50 like I do in everything else. Soak it
Okay.
good. Soak it good. Let it soak in there, and then I've had some luck with that. I'm sure there's other products. I've tried the wood hardener. Didn't seem to work real good, but I was young and younger, and wood was real porous. It just worked through.
Okay. I'll give it a go. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Now, if we were chatting this with Kim Tippin, she'd say pressure pot. Put the hardener in the pressure. And I saw a picture of Kim's
Yeah,
house.
cactus juice.
Yeah. Kim's house.
That's what I
is
used a
under
while
construction.
back. I used cactus juice in the pressure pot, and that came out so hard it was like a rock. I couldn't turn it.
Okay.
That's a bit of an outlay, though.
Yeah.
It is. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's a bit of an outlet.
And I'm always been a fan of, if there's an easy way to do it the easy way.
Me too.
And like Billy just said, you do a wood hardener on it, and somebody just said it got so hard you couldn't turn it. Don't be cheeky with it. Harder wood, you know this, harder wood's easier to turn than soft wood. But and we're going, and I want to throw this back at Mark Soleil. If you're gouging wood, it's going to blow up on you. If you're slicing wood, it's not going to blow up on you. It's going to be a slow process. You may have to sharpen a little more often, but think about what you're taking off and how it's coming off. And that's the key. If you look at what a really good turner has on his tool bed below him, if he's got chunks of wood on it, he's plowing it. If he's got ribbons of wood, he's slicing it. It's not that complex. It really isn't. And if you slice by using a Fano gouge or a bow gouge that's sharpened the right way, but how you present it. And I could spend a day doing this on a lathe, because I've done that at a SWAT meeting or SKU meeting at our club. Is what happens when you cut, what happens when you slice, what happens when you plow. They're different techniques. And the same thing happens with SKUs. People say, I can't use a SKU because you haven't tried it right. And don't be misled by what you see on YouTube and videos. You have to see what's on your tool bed. That's going to answer your question. If you're generating curly cues, you're slicing wood. If you get big chunks of stuff, you're plowing it. I hate these commercials I see for some other folks' carbide tips with all the shavings are flying over their head and all this stuff. That's not wood turning, that's showmanship.
Yeah, it is. It's fun too.
Yeah, but you got to figure, what's the end result? I can do good when I do a cowboy hat. I can do good ribbons. I can aim at the garbage can. If you look garbage can, but
We're about to lose Eddie again.
Cutting in and out. Hey, Brenda.
There he is.
Cade?
Hey, Eddie, you got
Yes, ma'am.
you cut out,
My internet stable connection is
and we all said Eddie who, but I gotta tell you, when I was doing the finial on this,
I'm trying to get to you.
okay, when I was doing the finial on this, you see the little finial?
Oh,
Nice
nice.
tip.
Nice.
Oh, that's good.
I was doing Mark's mantra, which is how slow can you go?
Oh yeah.
You know, and I really was, would get little teeny microscopic shavings, but it was punky. So I'm gonna have to I'll try the 3408. That would be the easiest. And I can always get wood hardener over at Lowe's.
And Sue, you don't have to do that 3408 only one time, like in the beginning. You rough it in and it's looking punky, you can stop at that point and do it again, the 34-8 or the wood hardener or whatever. You've removed some wood that you're not going to turn, and
Yeah.
you've turned up the stuff you need to shape up.
Okay.
That's an idea. How do you save wood? Yeah. All right. Or rescue wood, not save wood, rescue wood.
That's right, because we don't believe in scraps. Remember,
Oh, there's no scraps.
most everything is scraps.
The Kim Tippin rule, there are no scraps. I was saying earlier, I saw that her new house is being framed up. They got some plumbing problems, but moving along. And now they're going to advance the steps on building her shop. So we might see Kim back in the fall.
Whoa, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I liked her answer. I asked about the shop, and I liked her answer. That's cool that they're going to do that.
Yeah. I was trying to remember which one of you folks was talking to. It was Matt.
Yeah, it was me.
I saw a photograph. You took a photograph of somebody at the Campbell thing, and he had a one-of-a-kind lathe.
Oh, that was Kevin Bedgood. Yeah, that's the new Rikon MIDI. It's the only one in existence. It's brand new out of the shop, and there's most of the enhancements were hard to see. Like the motor is now much stronger. One of the classes I taught, I used that one, and it was robust. I was only able to slow it up once when I was parting with authority. But it was pretty cool.
Is it like a 1221?
Tool rest?
Yeah, it's about that size, but it was. I mean, I have a 1221 VS, and this was more powerful. So it is pretty cool. And the spindle was not 1 inch. It was 1 1/4 by 8. So it took all of the big chucks and all of the big adapters and so on that the big lathes do. So I thought that was interesting too.
Yoke. Also, tool rest and yoke.
Yeah, and it was a 1 inch post. It wasn't the small one too. So it was very interesting. There's a lot of little details. Like they made things a lot better. The older Rikons were a little too hard to turn with because they were easy to slow up and stuff. But this one was pretty cool. So I have no idea what they charge for it, but Kevin was mucking with it the whole week.
They're probably trying to compete with the Powermatic 2014, if I had to guess.
Maybe. I've never even turned on one of those, so I wouldn't even be able to compare them. All I've turned on is the Jet 1221 VS. So
that's a nice machine, but I'm going to go along with what Matt just said. It's a nice machine, but they were one step short of great. And he just said that Rikon went to a 1 1/4 inch spindle. You see, I like that change. You might, why? Okay, I have a small lathe, and I want to grow into a larger one, and a lot of guys do that, and they'll buy the chuck with the 1 inch collet on it, or adapter or whatever. And they buy a special chuck for that lathe. Then they move up, and immediately people will say, well, just get an adapter and move up with an adapter. You just put another link in a chain.
Yeah, you got to spend, if you've got 3 chucks, you got to spend, $50 on adapters or whatever.
Yeah, but if I'm using 1 1/4 inch on my 1221 or whatever you're calling it, and I move up to a large lathe, my chucks walk over there right, easy, and then go back and forth. Oh, don't ever sell the old lathe, please don't. You won't get it. You won't get what it's worth in your heart, and you can always use it. Put it in another part of the shop.
And a lot of people buy those specialized tool rests too. You buy like the robust tool rest with the 1 inch post. It's nice if that works on both lathes too.
Oh yeah, everything in your cording system, whatever. We're married. Folks miss it sometimes on lathes. We're married to a couple of components when you get into a lathe. You're married to the tool post. You're married to the spindle size. You often marry into how much power it'll take in your shop, and can I move up with that? and things like, see what you, instead of dating a lathe, you're marrying it. But you need to use that same ring on all the other lathes you may be looking at. So I like that idea, beautiful. And I saw the machine, it looks like you could turn off the headstock in both directions. Was that right, Matt?
Yeah, there was a secondary tool rest that had a different it was set lower than bed. I'm sorry. It was like a bed extension that you could set lower than the other bed, so you could turn it around and turn bigger bowls or something if you wanted to. I think that the swing on it, or the distance between the swing was like 14 inches. It was like 7 inches from the bed to the center of the spindle. But if you turned it around, it added like another 3 inches. So it was substantial. I mean, it's not something I ever do, but it was interesting.
Yeah, give you the ability to do platters or plates or saucers.
Yep.
Let me add my 2 cents in on this. I am turning in my shop, and I've, for the last month and a half, been turning on a 14-inch robust lathe. Pretty much the same thing you're talking about. So 1 horsepower, 1 1/4 spindle, 14-inch, and I bought it because I wanted something that was light enough I could carry and move around. I actually love it. I actually love that little lathe. So step up from the mini and big enough for the that you can turn small bowls and platters on. So.
All right. Good to see you back at the house, Trace.
I just got back, and my internet connection in some of these places was terrible.
Feel the pain.
Yeah.
I felt the pain.
That's mine every day.
Well, I tell you what, chat is not safe tonight. It just
No, it isn't.
y'all do know we're PG, we're family friendly, but you can always have more than one wife. And then one of the ladies had a comment: you can't handle more than one. Yada yada boom boom. This could get a little interesting over there. Remember, chat's open and chat's free. If you got something to add, and especially I started with. I lost my web connection. Started with the event calendar. We're getting more and more input on events. So if there's an event you know of, you attend, you put on, you host, whatever, and it deals with wood turning, it can go on our event list. It's not if they don't go on a member or it's a pay-per-view or anything else. There's no restrictions on it. Our event list is for wood turning events. So if you got something like that, we'd like to know about it. Send it to our master webmaster, Dave Rose, and he'll include it in our event calendar. And then when you're wondering, man, is there a Lucid meeting this week with, the crew with the lasers and all that? Yeah, there is one. This is how you find it. This is how you click on. So that's why we have the event calendar. So bring in folks. It's about 20 minutes at the top of the hour. Bob Grinstead's going to do our demonstration this evening. But until then, we need to pop in and do some gallery, because some of the finest wood turners in the whole world, they got things to show us. And our gallery master is Dane Chandler. Dane, you got a couple of folks looking to show up some stuff?
Yeah, we certainly do. Doug here.
You scared me like that. He actually warned me, told me he was going to do that. Uh-oh. I've got a phone call coming in. Can you come back to me?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Brenda. Looking.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see the engraving in it?
Yeah, barely.
Yeah, just a little closer.
There it
until
is. There.
the light hits it.
Oh, that's
Very
good.
nice.
Yeah, that
Beautiful.
looks good.
This one's from my best friends. It says, beloved husband, father, and grandfather. And then, like Dane suggested, I painted the cork in the top black.
Maybe bring it closer. Bring it closer.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
That's nice.
Very nice.
Nice, Brenda.
Very nice.
Finish
Brenda.
on that, Brenda.
Yeah, now we can see.
Yeah,
I
that is
thought that
very
one turned
nice.
out pretty good.
Yeah,
Did a great job on that.
works.
The one over here. Check this one out. I was able to do this one too.
Is very solid, especially when you get the bees in there.
Oh, wow.
Are taking it down.
This one I've had a lot of trouble with.
Leads to cut off and all the bees.
And then I put one on the other side.
I've been taking maybe hundreds of them.
Someone's TV's on, their radios on.
Yeah, and whose that is. And this I did without turning one too. I just laid it flat under the laser.
Brenda, you did that engraving on the earlier one on with a laser engraver?
Yeah, both of these, yes.
Beautiful.
Very cool. Very cool.
Very nice, Brenda.
Yes.
Yep. Those two turned out pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
It's great.
How did you color it, Brenda?
I just painted it
Oh, okay.
with I don't know, some paint that I picked up at Hobby Lobby or Joann Fabrics, I think.
Okay. Yeah, looks good.
Thank you. That's all I
All
got.
right.
Hey, I'm back, Dane.
Bring you back.
Okay. This is pepper mill that I showed about 3 weeks ago that was so ugly. Was able to get it on the lathe today and got it cleaned up. This spot right here and this one up here as well, those were just put in with a thin parting tool, and I was able to go in and sharpen those up, made them look a good bit better. And then all that old brown, whatever that stuff was as a finish, I sanded all that stuff off. And as you can see, there you go. Now you can see it. Get the glare off of it. The burl came out really nice.
It's pretty.
It feels so much better in the hand. It was just
Very
kind of,
nice,
it felt like old oil that was on it. It had been on there for a long time and kind of dried. So it was a little sticky and gooey. I went back to 60 grit, sanded it all the way up to 320, and then abrasive paste and my normal wax that I've been using. And as you can see, it's got a little bling to it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's really
It
pretty.
came
Doug.
out nice. I need to get some pepper and drop them in there and see how well it works. But then another one that I did another one of these inset lid boxes. This was a piece of salted maple that's been sitting around the shop for a number of years. Put a little, there you go. You can see it's got a little detail there in the lid.
It's like a tornado.
Yeah, a little spiral, that little mini spiraling tool, and then put the blue embellishing
Sonic
wax on
Hedgehog.
it. Yeah, but see if I can get it where you can see it there. You can see right here in the lid, the grain ended up matching almost perfectly,
Yeah.
as
Nice.
well as any box lid can do. Did my
I love that
typical-
cauldron shape, Doug.
Yeah, well, thank you. It came out
Very
really
nice.
nice. I really
It's real
didn't have a
pretty.
plan in mind other than I wanted to do a box. Walked in the shop and this was just a little chunk was sitting there. It's been sitting in the same spot I know for 5 years. I've had it longer than that. So, it's just laying around. I decided, okay, let's throw that on, see what we can do. Little inclusion there. That wasn't filled or anything. That's just probably a bark inclusion. But the
It looks
salt
very
came out
light.
real nice.
Yeah.
It needed to percolate in your shop until the time was right for you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Box to you.
But they say timing is everything.
Yeah, you picked the right
Absolutely.
time because that's beautiful.
Yep.
Very nice.
Doug, did you use the abrasive paste and polish on the finish on the pepper
Yes.
mill?
Yeah.
I thought so. That looked really nice.
Yeah, on both of these pieces, I mean,
I know you did
that's what
on
I do
both.
on. Yeah, about 90% of the pieces that I do, it's I use right now. I'm using the Axe abrasive paste,
Yeah, me too.
and then they're restoring and polishing wax, which is a carnauba wax. The trick on both of those is to work them long enough. A lot of people say, "Oh, one doesn't work." Well, chances are most of the time they don't work it long enough. I spend more time on the abrasive paste than I do on the sandpaper. So I use it a long time.
Well, Doug, you have that ornamentation on it. I need to get a professional score on that for you, if you don't mind. He's on with us right now. Show him that piece again.
Talking about that one?
All right, Bob.
That looks good.
Bob,
I think there's hope for you, Doug.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Thank you, Bob. Bob was rolled in on that. Okay. So you got well, there's hope for you, Doug. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, at least there's hope. The only other thing I wanted. The only other thing I wanted.
Let me bring you back up.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, thought you were done.
There you are. Showed there 2 weeks ago, I guess, all the pins that I did, or I talked about them last week. All the oak pins that I sent out, and I see the post office has told me they were delivered to the post office box there in Paris Island. But as a result, I've got a pile of these oak blanks. They're a little extra long. I think they're 7.5 inches or something long, 3/4 inch square. But I've got a pile of those. I think, Brenda, you got some last time I had them.
I got a box of them.
Yeah, I've got a bunch more if anybody needs some. So just let me know.
I know exactly what to do with those.
10.
No. Did you see my Shusugiban class result? Oak is one of the good woods for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
because of the grain.
Sure.
Yep.
I think that's why they use it for whiskey barrels. Thanks, Doug.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Show that.
All right, back to you, Gary.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, I had a bowl that kind of messed up my arm just a tad, and Brenda asked if I was able to save the bowl. So this is the bowl. It's
nice.
Beautiful. 10-inch bowl.
That's really pretty.
And,
nice save.
This again is just the cutoffs from my make and rolling pins. And these are all the triangles that I saved and glued them up together. The back came out real pretty. It when it came off the lathe, I had it on a 50mm set of jaws, and ended up lucked out and got another mortise cut, and ended up using the 130mm mortise, but it has 2 coats of Mylan's sanding sealer, buffed out, and then 1 coat of a Nuba wax, and buffed out on the buffing wheel. This is the 10-inch bowl. This one is the 6-inch bowl.
Oh,
I like that.
Look at that purple stripe.
Those are nice, Gary.
It's got purple heart, yellow heart, walnut, oak, maple,
Babinga?
yeah, no, not the orange.
Padauk.
Mahogany.
And some zebra wood. And
Very nice.
The 6-inch bowl came out really nice. This is the first bowl I've ever turned using a carbide tool, and for the entire bowl. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So how to use it, because a lot of people get upset when you say, well, I've used a carbide tool. I've used traditional tools all the time. I just wanted to see how difficult, and it isn't at all. And it turned out just as nice as if I'd used regular tools.
I agree. That's beautiful.
I got a question, and Captain Eddie, I see you're there. I made a whole bunch of your soft what did you call them? Soft
Soft touch.
Yeah, soft touch. And I made them out of walnut and put the threads in it and all that good stuff. You can see I left the mark where the threads stop. So whoever gets this can do whatever they want to fashion this to the way they want it. But is there a better wood? That might be the wrong way to ask. What's a good wood to use to take the threads? The threads in the walnut work and they tighten up to my one way just fine. But boy, they don't look real good on the inside. So
I've had a lot of success with hard maple.
Hard maple.
But do it, but don't do it end grain. Do it side grain.
Oh.
Because when I do side end grain threads, you know, like if the grain runs this way, and I'm doing the threads into it like that, they come out poorly. So I got much better.
Mine disappeared.
Yeah,
I've
had that happen disappeared. Too. Yeah, or I grind them away, just putting it on. I have much better success doing hard maple side grain. You know, if the grain's running like this, you do it in. You know,
most any dense fine grain wood will take threads.
Yep.
Did you coat it with CA?
Even with CA.
I've had people ask about that, and I don't quite understand how do you coat the threads with CA? You just pour some in there and wiggle it around, or how do you do?
Yeah,
that?
but you got to go back in with the tap.
Right. I understand that.
After it's hardened, not before.
I've just never seen anybody. They just do they like put it on a Q-tip and then put it in, or
no? I just squirt it in.
Just poured it in.
I just pour it
and
on
then
the
roll it.
threads and roll it around.
Yeah.
Give it a while to dry. Retap it, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Make sure it's dry before you put your tap back in there.
Okay. Anyhow, Captain Eddie, I was watching some of your older videos, and thanks for the idea on how to do this. 7 or 8 guys in my club are going to be real happy.
Oh, great. Glad we could do that. That's why we
Gary.
did that video, because it's fun. And Gary's got the right idea. If you come up with something like that, make more than one. Because you have a friend that turns and give it to them. And maybe when they make something, they'll give you back one of them. This 5 meter I have here, this came from one of my turning friends. He said, you know what, I can make you one of these. And he found the instructions or the dimensions on the internet. And it's real complex. This is this distance right here is 1. This distance is 1.618399822.
You must have a root on a ceiling this time.
He's been trying to tell you something.
That's true though. But when I made my wedgie sled following that old boy Jerry, can't think of his last name, on YouTube.
Jerry.
Yeah, I ended up and I figured, what the heck, make one. Might as well make 17. So everybody in my club that was there got one.
Wow.
Nice. Wow.
Well, I'm glad we have Gary in our club.
Yeah. I know, right?
Such a deal.
Yeah.
Point on threading.
All right, Doug.
I got about 3 minutes.
All right, well, let's go to Dave.
You skip me, Dane, again?
No.
Hey, Dane.
Hey, Dave.
Hey.
What's shaking?
Well, I didn't get a lot of lathe time this week. I was chopping up a maple tree, but I tried a straight end grain bowl, and I'd never tried one before, and that was a fight.
Got the center out.
What's the wood?
It looks like you won, though.
It's cherry.
Oh, nice.
I'm not super happy with it, but it's only about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the log I started with. And
good. Nice color.
Even got a little bark in one spot, but yeah,
nice job.
That was interesting. Something I'd never done before.
It was good.
It just got a little oil on it.
What was fighting you on it?
Well, it's just at the end grain. I'd never.
How were you turning? Were you turning it from the rim to the center, or the center to the ball?
I went both ways at different times. I started with a rim because I wanted to set the thickness. But at times when I was just hogging out, I would go to the middle. But most of the time, I was going from the outer end. But it didn't seem to matter.
Normally, you'll have more success going from the center to the wall.
Okay.
And grain orientation.
Yeah. And doing pull shearing scrapes or pull shearing cuts.
Okay.
If you cut rim to center, you're actually cutting uphill, so you're going to have a lot more vibration and fight into the wood.
Yes, I did have a lot of vibration.
If you cut the other way, you're cutting downhill, so it'll be much easier to cut, nicer finish.
I'll remember that if the next time shows up.
Very nice.
But that's it, and I do have about a
just
ton
go
and a half of maple in the garage now.
And just go incrementally, when you're excavating the inside, half inch to an inch at a time, going from the center to your wall, go to your final thickness on the wall, and don't touch it. Especially don't touch it on end grain.
Yeah, I would have been lucky to get a half inch. I was getting more like an 1/8 inch.
Yeah.
But
it looks good, Dave. You did a good job on it.
Yeah, looks great.
Yep.
Great
You don't
job.
have to take heavy cuts to get to an end result. The heavier, the
it
more
took
grip.
probably almost 3 times as long as a side grain bowl.
Well, it is more difficult. End grain is more difficult to excavate. So, but yeah, good job on it.
Good job on it, though.
Now
Dave.
I have a whole bunch of maple from the tree I took down in the front yard. Can't wait to get to it.
Well, send some to Gary. He's turning those soft touches. He could use a little bit.
Well, I'm hoping to try some threading.
I can always use wood. Always use wood.
Okay. We're doing a little gallery now. Our demonstration is Bob Grinstead tonight. See, Bob's in the office, right? So, Bob, if you're set up, we'd probably pop right over to you, sir, and then we'll come back to our gallery in just a little bit.
How about now? Can you hear me, guys?
Now we got you, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got
I don't know if you can see me yet.
Yeah.
What do you see?
All right, we're
Can
trying
you see
to.
anything?
Nope, don't see a
I
thing,
got you
Bob.
spotlighted now. You're always changing your name on how you're going to put yourself in there, Bob Grinstead.
I know. Well,
just Bob.
I had to flip over to just the phone, so I don't know what it's going to show.
All
Can
good.
you find me yet?
Oh, I got you.
You're up there.
Perfect.
You're here. Well, I don't see you. I don't see myself. All I see is a couple of frozen pictures here, so I don't know how to get out of this thing.
We see
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Okay, all right.
Yes, we see you.
Yeah, I'm kind of at blind here, but anyhow, I don't do a lot of demos. It's the second one I've ever done, so just kind of bear with me here. What this is I watched a demo at my local club on epoxy coating, and it looked real interesting, and I decided I wanted to try it, and it was an inexpensive way to get into it. The guy that I saw used the same motor that I have, that I bought, but he was actually driving 3 shafts with it. He had 3 different stations set up, and they were driven by rubber bands between the shafts, and that worked out okay. But I don't know that I really want the 3 shafts, so I just made one, and it worked fine for what I wanted to do. I guess if you had more shaft, you wouldn't waste so much of the epoxy, because you're always going to have some left over. You'd have some place you could put it or do something with it. The idea of the shaft, you want a slow turning shaft. You want to put it on something that'll actually turn the base or turn whatever you're trying to put the epoxy on, because it doesn't allow it to drift. It lets it flow around the base or around the top, and it won't actually drip off of it. Here's one piece I made. This was, I think I showed this a couple of weeks ago. And again, I don't know what you're seeing. Can you see this or not?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
sir.
Okay, this was a Beads of Courage box, and I decided I wanted to. They you know what they did. They talked about all the Beads of Courage boxes that were at SWAT last year, and they couldn't use them. They had to throw them away because they had cloth on the outside of them. You know, they'd use PVC and put cloth on them, and it made them real cute for kids. But they didn't. They don't. You know, they're hard to clean, so they really can't clean them in a hot. So they want a hard surface so they can wipe it off and clean it. So I decided to make mine in epoxy. And it turned out real good. I was glad, I mean, happy about how it turned out. This is a separate piece that I glued in here. And I wanted them to be epoxy together. I wanted that seam to be, you know, have epoxy over it and not to really be a seam where anything could get in. So the epoxy worked out good. How I held it was right here in the center. I knew I was going to put this bead in here, so I drilled a hole and put saran wrap around the dowel and shoved it in the hole. And that's how I actually held it on a jig. Let me get the jig here. This is just a scrap block, you know, just what do you call it? Glue block. And anyway, I glued that in here and was able to turn this thing. So there's no pressure on it. There's nothing here except this thing turning around and around, and you put a brush on it with the epoxy. So it worked out real well. And then I could come back and drill a bigger hole just for the Bead of Courage. And then I did come back and epoxy that in. The problem to me with epoxy, and it's probably not a problem, it's just, you know, I'm one of these guys that, like Eddie was talking about a while ago, I don't like to do a whole lot of work. I want to do it the easiest way I can. And you have a dry line, or I'm going to call it a dry line. It's when you put the epoxy on and you're trying to hold it. This one I held with a tenon out. And so I had the tenon on, and I put the epoxy on here first. I was able to epoxy the inside and the outside. And then when you said, okay, well, that all worked out great. So I got two coats of it, by the way, 2 coats of epoxy. The first coat is all the little air bubbles, everything comes out, all the imperfections kind of get filled. And you come back and you sand it down, just like a 150 grit sandpaper. You sand it down and put the second coat on it after it's dried and put the second coat. And it will fill up all those imperfections. But when you try to finish this bottom, you know, I'm thinking, well, you know, what am I going to do there? So because you have this, again, this dry line, it's the line between the first coating or whatever you got. Let's say it's the first coating. In this case, it was the second coating because that's why I stopped. And then I took it off and took the tenon off and sanded it, ground it down, sanded it down, and put epoxy on it. The epoxy there turned out fine. It's where this line between this epoxy and the previous one went together. There you end up with some type of a little dry line or some line that you can actually see. And you know, you need some way to either get rid of it. You know, you can either buff it out, sand it out, and buff it out, and you can actually polish it. You know, that's what I guess most people do. But the people that I saw on the videos, I mean, I watched lots of videos. I watched this guy's demo, and he really didn't discuss how you handle this dry line I'm talking about. So what I did, I tried to just epoxy it up to here. Of course, you know, it ran over the side, so now I got a problem. So then I had to sand it down and buff it back out, and I actually buffed it with Vonex, and Vonex will buff it down to like 1500, and that worked out okay. I mean, it's not as shiny as this over here where I didn't buff it, but it's enough to where I'm not getting messed with. I could have sat here and went and got the stuff or polished it out, but I didn't do it. so I'm just going to leave it. But I think it still turned out fine. There was enough here. The guy that did this, the demo that I saw, he bought this epoxy. This was at Hobby Lobby, and it's like $19.95 for 2 8-ounce bottles. So for 16 ounces, to me, it was a cheap way to get into an epoxy. There might be cheaper epoxies out here, and I'm sure if you bought them by the gallon, it'd probably be cheaper too. But this was an easy way to get in for $20, and on the $20, I had enough to do 4 items. I had enough to do the top and bottom of this, so that was quite a bit. That was 2 ounces for the bottom, and I used an ounce up here of the glue, a total. And so this thing, if I'd had extra glue in it. There was another one, I think that was about an ounce, and it coated both sides. And each coat was an ounce. So, it does take a little bit of it, but the second coat, when I sanded it out, I put the second coat on, it comes out smooth enough for me. John Williams is a guy that I really liked his video. He had a YouTube video. I think he's out of Florida. But in his video, he actually puts on 3 coats before he really sands it back down. He puts on a coat and he lets it get tacky, and he puts on another coat, lets it get tacky, and he puts on like 3 coats, 2 or 3 coats like that. And then he comes back and sands it down and gets all the little divots and all the little mismatches out of it. And he ends up putting 4 or 5 coats on. His look really pretty. I mean, he's selling these big items for big dollars. So he's doing a real good job at it. In his video, he really didn't discuss this dry line either. He talked about turning off the bottom and epoxying the bottom, and that's about all he really says. But if you go down and you look at the chat section down below, the comment section, he does get further into it in the comments and saying that he does sand it, and he doesn't really address the dry line, but it's the same thing. He's going to come back and sand the whole bowl again and buff the whole thing out. And, he takes it down to 5,000, and then he comes back with the polishing compounds and polishes and buffs them out. And they look real pretty. But his jigs, I mean, go look at his video. I'll put it in the chat after a while, but go look at his video. It really does have some pretty stuff. But anyway, I was able to make this bowl, the Pizza Courage box, an 11-inch by 3-inch bowl, and this last one I'm going to do is a little small 6 or 7-inch bowl. I'm going to have enough to do that. I'm going to mix up 1 ounce to do this one. The way I'm going to try, and again, this is trial and error for me, because I'm getting no expert here. But for me, I went ahead and took the mortise and finished it out, signed it, and put epoxy in. And I'm hoping that's the last coat I'm going to do. So that's the intent here. And it did come up a little around the edge, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be sure to coat that edge. And then I sanded the edge down, and then I hot glued this piece on. And this piece is actually going to hold it in my chuck while it turns. And then after we get through, I just pop this off, and the hot glue will come off of here, with alcohol or vinegar. I think vinegar is what takes it off. But anyway, it will come off here, because I tried that before. But it might leave a little divot where the hot glue was on here. But me, my experience with the epoxy, even an epoxy table I did 4 or 5 years ago, if you have it something sitting on here, it's going to leave a little divot, and you move it, and that divot flattens back out. And that's what it's going to do here. It's going to flatten back out if it leaves anything at all. But let me show you my jig here. This I thought was a real good jig. The jig I made, and I don't know if you can see it. Can you see this? Whoa.
Did see it.
Oops.
Yeah. Whoa, that one's right on the ground, didn't it?
I fall down.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see here.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah, yeah, he's okay. Okay, let's see what. Oops, what I'm gonna do here. Yeah, maybe a lower. How about that? All right, can you see this jig or not?
Yes.
Good, Bob.
Tell me
Yeah.
where the camera needs to go. Does that look okay?
The jig's right in the center of the
You're right in
frame.
the center.
Okay. All right. What I did, and he did basically the same thing. He had the same motor. You get this motor off of
Can you
Amazon.
zoom in closer?
Hell, I can't hear you.
Can you zoom in closer?
Closer. Let me see
There's
here.
not a zoom function on Zoom.
Well, I
don't worry about it. There's not a zoom function for Zoom.
The forward.
Your camera positioning is good.
Camera.
No,
Okay.
what you would have to do is pinch your screen, just like as if you're zooming in on a photo or zooming in on a video that you're doing.
I'm trying, but problem is I'm looking at y'all. I'm not looking at the. I don't see myself. Right?
Can we go?
I see all the people.
Yeah. Can we go back to what we were looking at?
Yeah. Here, let's just go back here.
Looks good to
All right,
me.
can you see it? Okay. What I did, he had actually made a box. He had a rectangle box here, and he had a shaft going through it, and he had high dollar collars, high dollar bearings, and all these other different adapters on it. And I thought, well, there's a cheaper way to do it. So for $30 here, I've got a $15 motor off of Amazon. I bought a all threaded rod, 1 inch, 8 threads per inch. And nuts. These nuts are cheap, so that's what I use. So I drilled the nuts out for my bearing. So there's really no heat, there's no speed, there's no tension on it. All it's doing is turning. If you instead of this all thread, you could go to Tractor Supply and buy a bolt. They have 1 inch bolts there, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the threads. You could put this in plywood and just use the plywood for a bearing. Or you could even, or do like I did. I drilled out the threads out of these 2 nuts right here to use as a bearing. I mean, there's lots of different ways to do this, but the main thing is to be able to mount it. So I mounted it, and again, his had 3 different shafts out here that were driven by rubber bands. But this motor will actually go both directions. So I bought a pack of switches. I think it was 10 of them for $10 on Amazon. But it's a single pole, double position switch. It's an on, off, and an on switch, but it's a single pole switch. So I can go either direction with it. And again, it's turning 10 to 12 revolutions per minute. So he's a good slow turn. And all I have is just clamped to the table. But there's lots of other ways to do this and lots of different setups. But to me, this was the cheapest. And just to get me into it to see if I really wanted to do this, it worked out great. Yeah. So I've got $30 in this, and it's fun. So let me go on to epoxy in one of these on here. This thing will come off here. Let me bring it back around. I can pull the pin out, and now I can turn this thing freely, so I can actually screw it onto my chuck easier. Yeah. And then I can come back and pin it back in. Somewhere here he goes back in.
Bob, it looks like you've got set screws in 2 of those bolts. Is that right? I mean, nuts.
I do. Instead of buying, you can come in and buy shaft collars, and I said, well, I mean, the nuts are a whole lot cheaper than a shaft collar. They're only like 50 cents a piece. So I bought, the 2 nuts, drilled them, tapped them out, and put set screws in here. just so I could get a collar on each side tight, so this thing's not trying to go everywhere. You know.
Cool.
That's what that was for. Let me put the bowl in here. So for $50, you know, I've got a turning deal and was able to get epoxy enough for several of these bowls. Can you actually see the bowl or not?
Move it a little to your right.
That better? Perfect.
Yeah.
You kind of wobbly here. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is to mix up some of this epoxy and do it. The guy that in this local video, in this local club, he used these brushes. They were off of Amazon. They're a pro grade brush, and I'll put that stuff in the chat too. But his whole idea is he wanted, because even though there's not a whole lot, there is some stickiness to the epoxy, and it will tend to try to draw your bristles out. So he wanted stuff where the bristles wouldn't come out. And you could have, I could have got by with some of the Harbor Freight little brushes that are cheap and 50 cents a piece or something, but I didn't. I bought a box of these to try. Anyway, so let me mix this stuff up real quick and just show you how it goes on. It goes on real well.
For those just joining us this evening, Bob Grinstead is showing us how to apply an epoxy coating on a finished piece. He has shown a couple of pieces he's done earlier. Right now he's explaining a rig that he's using that was shop built by him, and how he's holding the piece. And now he's going to mix up the resin and go ahead and do a demonstration on how to apply the coating. And this could be really, it could be a fun indoor project for you people that are baking out in the heat. You might be able to do this on a kitchen table when she's not home.
Yeah. I just didn't want to do it in the house, guys. That's for sure. Nothing like getting it on the carpet or the floor. But anyway, right now I have two deals, the same amount in these little cups. These little cups I got free. I went to not Burger King. Anyway, I went to one of those places and got the little condiment cups because they're cheap. But I'm going to pour it into another cup. This is another plastic cup. And I have a popsicle stick that I'm going to use to mix this stuff up with and get it out of these cups. They recommend that you don't mix less than 1 ounce. And that's about what this is. It's going to end up being. Actually, going to end up being about closer to 2 ounces, but it's an ounce a piece. Well, it won't take long to mix this up. You do have to stir it good, mix it good, like any other epoxy. You want it mixed up good. It'll kind of, turn white. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's almost like it's got bubbles in it until it mixed well.
Members, if you have questions or comments on this procedure, will you kindly let Bob finish his demonstration, and then we'll open it up for questions and comments, etc. And remember, we have that no butt guarantee. I like this. No buts about it. I like this.
No buts. All right. I do too. No buts. I'm sure there are lots of people out there that have done this already. I'm just trying to show you an easy way, cheap way to try it, and it is a good fit. Okay, once you get it mixed up, then you put it in the microwave or somehow heat it up. I'm putting it in a microwave for 8 seconds at half power. So bear with me. I'm going to do that real quick.
Microwave it?
Yeah.
You could also
in the kitchen, it makes food warm. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just going to heat it up a little bit, and makes it softer. Okay, so that was 8 seconds at 50 power, and you can see it's quite runny now. And that's what you want. You want it runny. So it'll go in and fill in and get in there, get on everything. And all I'm going to do is just drizzle it on here and just let it run. Again, there might be better ways to do this, but this seems to be working for me. Now on this inside, I really don't want to get down onto that other piece if I can. And I'm kind of trying to stay away from it just so I get, because I'm going to come back with another coat, remember? And I don't want it real thick right there, and I don't want a bunch I have to try to take care of. That epoxy kind of warm.
Bob, so this is a single application used for this particular brush, right?
Yes, well, it is, but you can take this brush, and that's what I'm going to do in a minute. And actually, well, that didn't make it. That melted my plastic cup here. But you can take this one single application on the brush and put it in starts with A. What is it, guys?
Acetone.
Acetone. There you go. Put it in acetone, and it will. It'll be fine.
Oh, okay.
So this stuff is already got too hot, and he's trying to set up here. So I'm making a mess now. But anyhow, that's the way you're supposed to do it, and supposed to be able. Don't get it too hot. I must have left that thing in there too long. So I can at least do the outside. I'm not going to be able to do the inside of it. And then put this brush into some acetone, and you can use it again next time, or come back in 4 hours or even tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do. And because I'm going to have to come back and sand that inside out. It's not that didn't work at all. It got way too hot and set up on me.
How long do you microwave that?
Those cheap HEB cups don't take the epoxy too well, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. But actually, what I did here, I screwed up on the microwave and I put in 8, and he didn't take the 8 seconds. He did something like 8 minutes, and anyway, it cooked it too long. But anyhow, it'll still work for what I'm doing tonight and what I wanted to show you. But that's really all you do is you let it sit here. If it has a 10-minute timing, I guess, to set up. So after a few minutes, like right about now, you should come back with some type of a heat gun or something just to get the air bubbles off of it. And you don't want a whole lot of heat either. You just want a little bit of heat, and it'll take most of the air bubbles out. And then once it dries, you can come back and sand it, and you put another coat on it, and then it'll be done. Except I hope, even the bottom should be done then too.
Hey Bob, when you get a chance, could you zoom in on your motor and how that's tied into that rod?
That's not going to work for us, Tim.
We tried doing the Zoom thing, so.
No, but I can get it closer. I can get the camera closer. But let me tell you one other thing. The epoxy, I think 1 ounce will cover about 160 square inches. That's what I figured out on this on the barrel I had over here. These are the actual switches that I bought from Amazon. It was 10 of them for $10. I mean, they're cheap enough. And well, I got a bunch left over, but that's okay. But they are a 3-position switch, single pole. There's only one set of poles going across here, and you can make it go both directions. So let me do zoom in here. Let me get this mess out of my way. And, See if I can zoom in a little more here. Can you see the motor yet?
Yeah, we can see it. Yep.
Okay, so what I've done here is, well, let me take this off here. Maybe this is better. What I've done is drilled a hole in the center of my shaft just to fit the shaft of the motor. And then I pinned it, I have a pin in here. And you have to have some slop in there because, everything is not going to line up perfectly. My hole's probably not in the center, whatever. So you have to have some deep room here for this motor to move, a little slop. But that's not hard to do. The actual switch itself, can you see the switch down here?
Yeah.
Can y'all see the back of the switch?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, it has a capacitor between the two leads, and that's what like a starter capacitor, letting it go one direction or the other. So it's real simple, real easy to wire up. Nothing special here. Like I said, you don't have to make this thing out of metal. That's just what I have, and that's easier for me to do. I could have just as easily had been a plywood box with bushings of some kind. Maybe not, like I said, just the plywood would be enough bushing if you didn't have these threads. If it was just a bolt sliding around in a hole in a plywood, because there's no pressure, there's no speed to get hot, so it would last forever like that. Or you could epoxy these bolts, these nuts in, that I drilled the threads out of. You could epoxy those in. But that's it, guys. That's about all I have. I don't know what else to show you.
I love that
I will
finish.
go back. See what now?
I said I love that finish.
Oh yeah, the finish turns out real good.
That's the kind of
first
shine
coat,
I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's real shiny, and when you get, when you build up the coats on here, it really looks deep. All of it really looks deep in here, and it's real pretty. The first coat has a lot of bubbles, different things, but when you finally get the next coat will level it out more. The next one on top of that, if you keep going, it just keeps leveling it out. John Williams doesn't even sand the first 2 or 3 coats. After 3 coats, then he sands it, and then he puts on 2 more or 3 more final coats on it.
Do you just let it run until it dries?
Yeah, you let this run. It doesn't have to run till it dries. You have to run until what does it say here? It's about 10 minutes. I think it doesn't say it on there, yeah. But it's about 10 or 12 minutes before it'll get hard and it won't try to slip off on you. And at that point, you can turn it off.
And once it starts drying, it's not going to run down on you anymore, then.
Right. Yeah. After about 10 minutes, it won't run down anymore, and you can turn it off. But I'm going to keep it running for a little while. It still be tacky in about 4 hours. And if you didn't want to sand between these coats, I'm going to have to, because there are air bubbles I can see. So anyway, if you didn't want to sand, or if you didn't have to sand between coats, you could put another coat on in like 4 hours and have it still tacky and put the other coats on. And then wait till tomorrow, when it's completely dry, and then come back and sand it. And you could either sand it then if it didn't look good, or you could put another coat on it. What I did on these other pieces, I did the first coat and waited till the next day to where it was dry so I could sand it, and then put the second coat on. And they come out slick enough for what I want. Mine doesn't have to have ever little dip out of it. So, anyway, guys, I thought that was a cheap and easy way to get into it and to see what epoxy turning's like, or epoxy finishes is like. And I'll try it. Maybe you'll have fun with it.
You got to be careful with which epoxy you use too. If you use a slow curing epoxy, it's not going to work. It'll be turning forever.
Yeah, if you have something that is not going to set up for 4 hours, yeah, it's going to have to turn for 4 hours.
Yeah, but
And I think
the slow cure on epoxy will allow the bubbles and everything to migrate out of it and give you a better finish.
yeah, it
Allow
will.
it to penetrate the wood finish deeper as well.
A non-thermal curing epoxy is much better than a thermal curing epoxy because that's what gives you all the bubbles. It heats up as it cures.
You talking about a UV epoxy, or are you talking something else?
No, like there's epoxies that heat up and transfer heat when they dry, so they create bubbles within the process. So by using epoxy, it heats up the air within those bubbles to release those bubbles. But you can also use slow curing epoxies that are non-thermal curing. It's just a much longer curing time, and there's no heat being produced, so it doesn't produce bubbles, and it self-levels itself in the process.
Right.
Sometimes
and that might be a good idea.
Crack the wood.
The other thing to get rid of bubbles is you can use a heat gun.
Yeah, heat gun, hair dryer, anything to just, and you don't want to leave it long because you don't want to burn that epoxy. You can burn it real quick.
But what you did by heating the epoxy so much, it accelerates the cure time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's basically what I.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. That's basically what I did in that little plastic cup. I heated it too long, so by the time I started to do the inside, it had already set up, and it was ruined. You know, the epoxy was already set up inside that little cup. It got too hot. But anyway, for $19, you know, a lot of that stuff is, you know, $100 for epoxy, and I didn't want to try that. So.
Bob, what is the speed of your motor there?
It's 10. I think it's 10 to 12 revolutions per second.
Okay.
And there's lots of them out there on YouTube. I mean, on Amazon. You can probably buy them anywhere, but there's a lot of them on Amazon. This one was $14.95 when I bought it, and I saw today it's up to $17.95. You know, so it's
that looks a lot slower than that.
Yeah, it's not per second; it's per minute.
It's per minute. Okay, it might be per minute, but it's 10 or 12, whatever it is. Probably is per minute, not second. Yeah.
And if you can get a hold of an old microwave, you can take the motor that turns the plate.
Yeah, there you go.
Goodwill, they're $10.
Yep. But for $50, I was able to try it and make an epoxy 4 things. So I think it was a good experiment here.
Once again, Bob, excellent demo, and thanks for working through all the setups and everything you had to do. I know you've been working on this for a while, and you're back with me on being able to put this on. So it's really great. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Good stuff.
I'll see that done.
Yeah.
If you have any questions,
thank you, Bob. That's good
any
demo.
questions?
I'll come back in a minute and you can ask me questions if you still have them.
Thanks for the demo, Bob.
Okay.
I have one question. When you say you're going to sand it next, are you putting it back on the lathe again and doing it at the lathe speed of, whatever you want, or how are you sanding it? Can you answer? How's that?
I don't know if he's still with us. He was. He said he'll be back in a few moments. So we'll get back to Bob if you.
Yeah, he's going to clean up here.
Yeah.
I have sanded off epoxy off the lathe. I've done it both with power sanding using my Fordham, so I can control the speed of the sand, the mandrel, and by hand, just sandpaper in my hand going like that. So the blend lines, like I used to use epoxy on the goblets, and there's no way to do the whole thing at once. So getting the where the the bottom and the top blend lines overlapped had to be sanded smooth before you put the next bit on. So that was always interesting, but I usually did that by hand. And some of the things I did with a sanding mandrel using my Fordham, which is a rotary tool. So to answer that question.
Yeah. I've done the same.
Demo, right, Matt?
Type of sanding. I made mine wet, and that's after you have the whole piece coated, and you want to go back and take out that blend line or that dry line. Wet sandpaper helps. I did say after you get the whole piece coated, because if you put epoxy on one half and you wet sand and you put moisture in the other part, you created a whole new scheme of things. So
yeah, I suppose with the caveat that I usually put 2 coats of epoxy on the whole piece before I started doing any sanding. So, yep.
And what,
there you go.
What, a minute ago, what we were explaining with the coats, with he said that the guy that created this program would do several coats. Alan Trout is where I learned how to do CA finish, probably 15 years ago, and he would do 3, 4, 5 coats before he would start knocking it back down again. He would do a coat. About the time it took him to get the pad ready for the next coat, he'd do a coat. Same thing, do a coat. And then he'd hit it with low accelerant and then sand it out. And just like we got a minute ago from Bob Grinstead, that's a technique. Now, Bob's technique is put it on, let it build up, cure out or set out, and then sand it a little bit more. And it's just like CA. It's using this product. There's probably 1,000 different techniques. So if you saw Bob's and you want to play with it, go with it. He's going to put all those ingredients on our chat tonight. Save the chat before you go. And I'm going to see if we can develop a sketch of a wooden one with components you could probably buy through Embassy Direct or McMaster-Carr or Granger or one of those places that you can do the exact same rig with and build it yourself for your shop. And a little motor that he had that coupled off the end. And he said the gentleman that created this was using one of the rubber bands to go through it. If it's more convenient to place that motor below it, or use a rotisserie motor out of a barbecue pit. I saw somebody say that. But you know, sometimes those rotisserie motors cost $40, $50. And you got to pay a big box store to get them for you. So, you know, there's a trade out on that. I like the idea that Bob had with buying it from Amazon. He got a motor from Amazon, a switch from Amazon, and pretty much everything else came out of a hardware store. Now, in your mind's eye, get rid of that nice stand that he has there and make the whole thing out of, get it, MDF. Means the base, the verticals, everything else. And because you're only turning at maybe 10 RPMs or 12 RPMs, MDF will hold up. That's your best friend at that time would be Johnson's paste wax. Wax up the inside, put the pieces together, and that's your bushing right there, the Johnson paste wax. So this is a very easy demonstration that Bob just gave you. Bob did quite well on it, I got to say that. But he gave you some variants and the ability to kind of modify or morph out this kit and how to do it. Someone said your lathe goes slow enough to do on your lathe. You know, that might be true. You could do on your lathe very slow. All right, number one, that's hard on your lathe. You think slow would not be. Slow is sometimes hard on your lathe. It's a cooling problem. Number two, I'm not putting that stuff over my lathe bed. I got my lathe diaper, but you know, a little bit of that hitting the bed and going underneath. I'd be like Brenda, beating it, go back and forth because it's sticking. So consider the alternatives when you
put the diaper on before you put the resin on them.
Oh yeah, my diaper's always there. And somebody, why do you have that? Take something, the tool, your wrench, your pliers, your screwdriver, your pencil, whatever, and set it on the bed of your lathe, and then use your lathe. The harmonics is going to go to the floor, and we all know turning tools, God says they have to go point down when they land. The lathe diaper, they don't vibrate off. My wife made me the one I have. I'll have to show it to y'all again in a little bit. She made me that one. I use it all the time. It's constantly, wait, let me see. There it is, right back there. That's the lathe typer, right on the top of my lathe. And I got 4 magnets on it to hold it in place. Magnets are an option. She quilted it, because she's the queen of quilting, and made it look nice. I have a couple of it. She made me some in some other colors that I don't think I want to use.
Captain?
Go ahead, please. Hey, Scott.
Hey, I'm the one of the guys that put in the rotisserie motor. I find mine at garage sales, flea markets. I've never bought a new one. And I just put a pulley on the outboard side of my lathe with a belt. And then I use a silicon mat with stick-on magnets to stick the silicon mat to my lathe bed, because the epoxy doesn't stick to the silicon, so you can keep pulling it off.
I would just wonder about the effect on a lathe running a motor and slow turning. I've got a Jet 1642 that doesn't go below 100, but I would just wonder what harm it would do to my lathe.
That's why I use the rotisserie motor. I don't turn my motor on my lathe. The rotisserie motor is the motor.
Yeah, yeah.
And the spindle should free spin without any problem.
It won't do any damage to the lathe. If the lathe is meant to go that slow and goes that slow, it won't damage the lathe at all.
Right.
All one-way lathes go really slow.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
same with the Powermatics.
There's a lot of heat built up when you take a 3-phase motor or a multi-phase motor and you step down in the power. There's a lot of energy generated. If you're I get by it with mine with a very expensive $6 clip-on fan. I open my control box, put the fan down, and blow some extra air on it. It works. I go slow, real slow, and do a lot of correction sanding and stuff. But I think what we just heard from Scott was that motor, that rotisserie motor's got a pretty good bit of torque. It's stepped down within itself, and I mean it's turning a turkey or a ham over a barbecue pit, and that always balanced out. So that might be one way to look at it, and that's what you do with that old barbecue stuff that you can't use anymore. Man, I love barbecue, but look, this shirt's 14 years old. Look how loose it fits. I'm loving this stuff. I'd die for barbecue right now. I really would. If you want somebody killed, just bring me a pack of ribs, you know, all done up, and I'll knock them off. It's, you know, you got to do what you got to do. Okay. Bob is back with us again. Bob, let me pop on you for 1 second. Sure. Someone asked about when you're sanding it. Can a member that asked that question ask it to Bob? Go ahead.
Yeah, it was regarding the sanding. Do you put it back? Do you mount the bowl back on the lathe and turn it on the lathe to sand it, or do you just sand it on your slow turning?
I've done it both ways, you know, on those 4 items that I made there. I did it both ways, but it sands it's real soft. You know, the next morning it really hadn't hardened. It takes, you know, 3 or 4 to 5 days to really harden. So at that point, it's still soft enough. You can do it by hand. You know, your 150-cent grit sandpaper, and it sands real easy. And it doesn't have to be anything more than 150, because you're going to put another coat on top of it, and it'll all level back out again. You know, if you want to wait until it actually dries, and you want to stand up to 800 or 5,000 or whatever you can, and then that's what these guys do on the joints, where they join together, because they don't want to see where it overlaps. Some of these guys actually, a couple of them that I talked to, they sand it, but it's like to 200 or 300, maybe 400, and then they come back with shoot lacquer over the top of it. Still makes it shiny. You know, it's just that you have the overspray, so you got to watch the overspray. But one guy even just put CA glue on it. You know, he said, well, just put it on a rag and wipe CA over it, and it'll make a coating over the top of it. Even this John Williams that I was referring to here, and you put the video in the link, but he says that he fills some of the divots or some of the bad spots. Instead of trying to sand them out, he fills them with CA glue, or if they're bigger than that, then he comes back and he puts epoxy in them and sands them back down again. So there's several different ways to do this. It's not, I don't know if there's anything cut in stone. You know, you just do it however you can get it to work for you.
Okay, how's that work for you, Gary?
I wasn't the one who asked the question, but I just remembered what he asked. But that's a good, yeah, kind of an experimentation and figure out what works for you. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody's going to be a little different. You know, I didn't want to buff it all the way out. I'd have to go buy the buffing pads and buy the polish. I actually bought the polish, but it was the wrong type polish, so that was $15. I'm not going to do that again. So stop it at the Vonex and wax. That'll be good enough, you know.
John Skelfo of New Jersey says you can get Virotex epoxy at Michael's with a coupon for about $12. It's a slow cure. The finish is perfect when it's cured. So there we got another member throwing a nickel on the table.
Yeah. So it's an easy way. I mean, with Michael's and Home Depot, it's an easy way to get into the epoxy finishes. You know, you're not trying to cure it. You're not trying to have a pressure pot, you know, where you're putting big chunks and big items, you know. But these little $12 and $20 boxes is a way to get into epoxy finishes and play with it. And I think it's worth playing with. I don't know that I'm really crazy about it, but it is worth playing with. And it does look real pretty, real shiny, real glossy, and it comes out like glass.
They have their place, for sure.
Yeah.
They do, and for what Bob is using it for, he's putting on a Beads of Courage container, and that is a project that SWAT is really big in supporting. He's putting Beads of Courage. This is going to go to a hospital for children who are not well to handle. So what he's done with this epoxy is he's created a great finish that can be cleaned, sterilized, wiped down and all. And it's not going to come off on their hands. It's not going to degrade. It's not going to trap bacteria and stuff like that. So the finish Bob just put on was probably the most ideal finish you could do for this kind of piece. And honestly, you're giving it to a child for them to collect the beads when they get their treatments. If it doesn't shine like a diamond, it's okay. If it's got a good finish on it, holds up well, looks nice, it's okay. If you need to go a step more, go a step more. But I like what Bob just showed us. I've just now penciled out a sketch of what I want to build, because my first ornamental lathe was MDF, and I stepped up from there. But I no longer can weld and do the fitting stuff. I want one. I'm going to go to Granger or MSC Direct. I'm going to find the collars, and I'm going to find, all the other parts I can buy retail off the internet, and I got to get me one. Thank you, Bob. That was a fantastic demonstration once again. And folks, got to mention this. He's a member. He gets paid for a demonstration just like you get paid to be a member, and that's what this is all about. We all share ideas on wood turning. Speaking of that, we do not have a membership list. I say this each week because it's important to some of us. I need to get a hold of Bob, and I don't know how. So I can go to our contact list, and if Bob has volunteered to place his information on our contact list, I can look it up. I might be able to get Bob's phone number, his email, his website, his address, his dog's favorite name, or whatever. All that, whatever Bob wanted to share with you, and he gave it to our webmaster, Dave Rhodes, is going to be on our contact list. You want a copy? Easy. Go to our contacts and our website, and it says member list or contact list. Click it, fill out the form. The subject is Captain. It's capital CAPTAIN. David did that. You put that in, but fill out the rest of the form exactly as it says. Unclick a box, everything else, and a few moments after you do it, you will receive an email telling you, here's the PDF. Now, you have to copy and paste from that form. It's not a push the button and go to them. We're trying to make this bot proof. Trying, because bots get smarter and smarter every day, or meaner and meaner every day. So if you'd like to be part of it, it's all free. It's not required. And it's a way for you to share information or get information shared to you by our members. And it's a critical thing that we be able to contact each other, share each other, besides being right here. And remember, if you've got something going on, you can always tell our webmaster about it. We still collect information for our events list, etc. We collect photos for our newsletter and our gallery. And if you're just joining us and you wonder what happened to the gallery that we used to send in, because of this, trying to be polite, web thing I have going, that's going to go away, I can't do that. I can't send that through this computer to that tower. T-Mobile says it's all this capabilities, and all it's done is, so I'm going to get it back, but we're going to go back to putting it on the YouTube site. But that's we're working on it. We really are. I have to mention again at the SWAT, Southwest Association of Turners. It's not the guns and stuff. SWAT, and you can find out more about SWAT at SWAT Turners. It's SWATURNERS. Type that into your Google, and you'll find it in all the details, how you register, if there's links available to hotels nearby. I think there's 2 close hotels that they have group rates on, etc. All that's on our website. I said August 26th, 27th, and 28th. The boss told me this morning I can go. Here's the problem. I need to get a ride. I live in New Orleans. I can get her to take me 2 hours away, anywhere around. So if I can bump into you in that place to go to spot, and when you come back, you can throw me out at the same spot. She'll come get me. I'm looking to go. I just got to get the transportation thing, since I can't drive anymore.
If I was closer, Ed, I'd pick you up.
All right, Billy. All right. Thank you, Billy. I'm looking for somebody that wouldn't mind. And I'll take a shower the day before and everything. I mean, I can bring cookies. But that's coming up soon. I see where we've got a couple other things popping up on our calendar on our chat tonight. With these notes are going to go to our event thing. Cade's got a demonstration this Saturday at 10 o'clock. He's going to turn a lotus flower bowl. We've seen these. We were talking about holding bracelets and bangles a little while ago. This flower bowl is it's not a turning challenge, it's a holding challenge. I mean, if you can hold it, you can turn it, my philosophy. But Cade's going to show you how to hold it and turn it. And that we're looking for that to come along. And I know Doug Rose out there someplace. Doug is still collecting pens for our Freedom Pen Project. Ronnie is too. We just had a gentleman come on a little while ago from the Air Force. Jim Selby's with us. He handles the Navy out of Florida. We get the pens you turn to the troops. That's the important thing. We get them to the troops, no restrictions. My feeling is the same feeling a lot of folks have. If you're willing to serve our country, I'm willing to thank you. Bottom line, they're volunteers. They're not there because they had draft number 5 or whatever. They're volunteers. And they're protecting our freedom. get a pen turned for them. Can't do a pen, support them. All right, let's go back to gallery. It's coming up about 3 minutes to the top of the hour, and we have a couple of folks that said they had some, get this, they say they have some of the world's finest wood turning to share with you. We're going to go to Dave Chandler. He's our gallery master. Dave, who are those folks that say they have the best?
Well, this gentleman truly does have some of the world's best. We're going to go across the pond to Cheerio, England. Hey, Paul.
Would that be Paul Hannaby?
Good morning.
Paul
How are you
Hannaby.
doing? I'm just rearranging my camera so I can put stuff down here. So I've been playing with some colours.
I was hoping you were going to show those.
Yeah, this one it's a sort of black on white marble effect. I've also got this one, which is the opposite, a white on black.
Nice.
And the other side is natural wood. Those two, and then there's this one, which is a like a holographic glitter effect on it.
Oh, that's like that's like outer space.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
What was the spray, Paul? Paul, what was the spray?
Well, for this one?
Let's wait till he shows
No,
them.
the previous two.
Oh, those two. These two. Yeah, those are. In fact, all of these are Montana sprays. It's
Look like they'd be good demos to me.
Yeah,
me too.
Montana black and white, and then the spray over the top is a marble effect, also by Montana.
Thank you. Can you put that in the chat, Paul?
Yeah, sure, we'll do. That one there is a base of just black, and then it's a holographic lacquer that goes over the top with sort of holographic flakes in it. So it works better if you've got a decent light. In here, the light is not so good, but you still see the sort of the glitter effect.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine what they look like in person.
Yeah, looks really cool from here. I can only imagine.
And then there's a few others. These I've been doing some experiments with some crackle paints.
Oh.
That one is a yellow with a brown crackle over the top.
It almost looks like leather.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Sure. Yeah.
Then there's this one, which is a red with black over the top.
Oh my goodness.
And then there's this one,
Paul,
which is a red
my.
sort of fade with black over the top.
That crackle paint you're using, or is that you using?
They're Montana paints as well.
Okay.
Yeah, all the same brand. And then there's this one, which was it's a blue, green, yellow with a black crackle over the top.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, that is really pretty.
Really nice.
There's walnut,
It's
or
really nice. I like that.
That's maple.
Okay, what's oh, they're just glass. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, these are mostly maple or ash I've used for the wood. But yeah, you can use more or less anything. But yeah, I was just experimenting with the crackles. I bought these paints a long time ago, and haven't really put them to any good use. So the other day I thought, well, I'll get them paints out and see what I can do with them. So now I've done some experimentation on little things. I thought I'd try a few small things first, then I'm going to do some bigger things, patches and bowls maybe.
Take the insert out, the candle insert, so we can see what that looks like.
That's just a glass insert with a
okay, good.
Yeah, these are fairly cheap and just ordinary tea light that goes inside the.
Sure, it looks good. I like that.
And the inside of that, I just drilled it with a 2-inch Forstner.
Oh, beautiful though.
Very
nice. How's the paint put on? Is that spray painted, or do you?
They're all rattle can spray paints. Yes.
Rattle can. Okay.
I'll put it in the chat.
Wow, and you get that kind of a finish on it, that kind of a pattern. That's beautiful.
I know, that's awesome.
We're going to have to get him to send us a case of stuff from across the pond.
Yeah,
that would make a great demo.
Wouldn't it though?
It would, wouldn't it, Matt?
Yeah, the only snag with these is you do the base coat and you've got to leave it 45 minutes to dry. So you've either got to do a lot of prep in advance and get have a range of half-made things, or film it in advance. So that might be an option. I'll see what I can come up with anyway.
One of the things I've done, Paul, in the past is pre-spray one, and let it dry, and then in the demo show how one is spray painted similarly, and then switch to the dry one and do the crackle.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah, but I mean the instructions for the crackle is that you do the base coat less than 24 hours before you spray the base to do the crackle on top. You can't leave it too long. So yeah, you've got a limited sort of time window to prepare these. But yeah, I might be able to sort of do a film rather than a live demo on this, and that way I can get around the timing problems. I can just film it in sections and then compile it. So that would probably work.
That'll work for us.
Yeah,
Let's go, Paul.
Yeah, I think now I've done some experiments, I'm going to go and buy some more colours and do some more things with these. I quite like them.
Thank you, Paul. 2 great finishes tonight in our gallery with our members, and that really matters, as we share this. Paul, we don't want to put the hook on you for this demo. If you can, when you can, how you can, we're okay with it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Me and Paul will be talking. All right.
That was great.
Let's go see Billy in Texas.
I was trying to give Bob an easy way out, because Dane will put set the hook. Dane won't hesitate. He will set the hook first blink they have. All right. Billy Birch with us from Alamo City, Texas.
You know, see all right?
Yes, sir, we do.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. I'm not going to say that I'm the first one to ever do this, but I think I'm the first one to ever do this. Well, at least I'm the first. I've never seen it done. Let me put it that way. I have a scroll saw and I do some scrolling. So I scrolled a bowl. There are patterns out there for this. And I don't know if y'all can see that.
Yes.
Let me turn one of these on, see if that helps. So I scrolled this bowl.
They killed it, Billy. There you go, right there.
Right there.
So I scrolled this bowl, and I had this brilliant idea to fill it with resin. So I scrolled it, C8'd it together, dropped it in a mold, mixed up some resin that I think looks a lot like fire.
Yes, it does.
And I poured it in and set another bowl inside of it that was about the right size so that I didn't have to waste a lot of resin. And then I turned the inside out first, and it is maybe 3/16 of an inch thick. So I turned the inside out, and then I turned it around and did the bottom or the outside.
Oh my goodness.
And the only, I took it to the plywood here. I couldn't take it to the plywood on the outside because it would have made it just way too thin. So, and this is the last piece. This was the bottom. So it's, I finished it with 4 coats of Gloss Deft, and I buffed it out 3 days later with Axe abrasive paste and followed that up with the Axe polish and restoring paste. Like I said, come on, turn off. I've not seen anybody else do anything like this, and it'll be a while before I do another one, because making sure that this stayed very concentric was not easy. I put it on a glue block first to turn the inside, but I wanted to turn this outside with this plywood first, and it wasn't. It was showing in one side but wasn't showing on the other, so I had to take it off the glue block, repositioned it, glue it back again, finally got it to where it was relatively close. And there's still some eccentricity on the inside, but all in all, I think it came out really cool. Let me see if I can do this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
and you can see the plywood pieces.
Oh yeah.
From the
Oh,
light on the inside.
They're gorgeous. If you don't want it, Billy, you can send it to Florida.
That's awesome, Billy. A lot of work in that.
A little bit, but it was. I get these harebrained ideas every now and then, and well, I just have to do something about it.
That's the
term.
term.
It's like a keeper to me. I'll be glad to keep it for you.
It's a lot less work than that bug bowl you had.
Oh, you're telling me? Yeah, it took. This took me the resin. I'm using really slow set resin. It takes a good 3 days for it to cure hard enough for me to be able to turn it, and it took me an hour and a half to scroll the bowl and CA it together, and another 20 minutes to put it in a mold and put the resin on it. But then 3 days to cure, and probably 3 or 4 hours of fiddling with getting it centered the way I wanted it. But then the rest of it was pretty easy.
Well, it is absolutely
good job,
gorgeous, Billy.
Thank you.
Very nice. I love it.
Appreciate that. I really do.
A lot of tips and techniques,
right,
folks.
It was really looking nice on my dining room table too.
It's coming to Florida first.
I keep telling everybody it'll be on my website soon. You may not like
Billy,
the price.
You sure do have a lot of friends wanting to
Yeah.
take care of that bowl for you.
I know, Dean.
Yeah, right on. Good job. All right, let's go to Matt. Matt.
Hi, guys. As many of you know, I spent much of the last week at Ron Campbell's hands-on retreat near Grand Rapids. It's 3-4 days. We kind of got more than that in of turning hands-on. Everybody's on the lathe, people teaching classes and so on. I taught 6 of the 12 rotations. I took 2 other classes myself. Lots of interesting things going on. One of the things I've always liked is people painting rocks, what they call dot painting or dot mandalas. So somebody offered a class in that this year, and these are mine.
Nice.
This is just dots. This little scrap pieces of wood that we painted black and then did some things on it. But
scrap.
That is neat.
No,
it's repurposed wood.
Yeah, somebody the teacher
Those are
actually
nice,
bought
man.
these things in bulk. But this was a lot of fun to learn because like I said, I wanted to do this for quite a while. And so the question then is, how do you apply this to wood turning? So the woman who was teaching the class had a couple of examples. So one of the things you could do with this sort of thing is like apply decorations on the top of boxes on box lids, for instance. Or she did one where she had the stuff set up around the rims. And I've liked spirals, so I tried to do some of the spirals and learn how some of that worked too. So that was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun.
Matt?
Yes, sir.
That's very similar to the Aboriginal art the Aborigine in Australia do. They do that in platters.
It is. And some of my Facebook friends are from Australia, and one of them actually mentioned that when I posted the picture. So there's a wealth of how people mostly do these. I mean, I was playing with spirals because I like the spirals a lot, but there were people doing mandalas, or mandala, or however you say that, and that's what you see a lot of. And one of the things that you can do with these is you can paint. Once the paint dries, and you're using basic acrylic paints, once the paint dries, like this bit in the center, you can then paint a different color on top of it. And you're just putting drops of paint on, with these little tools that are basically just balls. So there's a ton of, if you guys want to see how that's done, there's a ton of YouTube videos of people showing how that's done. Just look up dot painting or dot mandalas or however they say that word.
Those
you
look like
doing
a
it
good
this way?
medallion in the center of a bowl too.
Yep. Yeah, you could do it in the center of bowls. You know, you could do a Nick Agar bowl, like a Viking Sunset bowl, and apply that to the little medallion in the middle. There's a
Matt,
bunch of uses for it.
Aren't you doing a demo in August for that?
I don't know if I'm doing a demo in August for that, but you scheduled me for June 22nd, and you haven't decided what you want me to do yet. So let me know.
That sounds good.
You do that one after you do the June 22nd one.
I could do that on June 22nd. I'll have to make something, but I could do it. So one of the classes I taught myself was carving feet on the bottom of bowls. So this is the bowl I used, and there's my carved feet.
Oh, that's cool.
So, you know,
nice.
it's just like there's no finish on this because I was sanding it today. But
when you post it online.
Yeah, basically the way you do this is you when you turn it, you turn your sort of profile, and then you just carve out the stuff in the middle. So it's mostly carving, but it's an interesting sort of I really like the way these things look.
You carve away everything that doesn't look like a foot, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now the beauty of this is if the wood is fairly dry and doesn't move a lot, this is all turned, so it's all flat. So if you wanted to do one of these with 5 feet, it would still be level.
Well, that's cool.
And it's less carving.
And that's a cool bowl there, Matt. But hey, going back to your dot painting, that would be great on your little sushi bowls that you made last year.
That could also be used for bolo ties. It's a good size for a bolo tie.
Well,
little mandolin or medallions for like rent fairs and that type of thing.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be done like in a circular pattern. I mean, you could do this like on the rim of a bowl, which is something I want to try next. And if you were doing it like on a box lid, you know, your box lid might have a finial or a handle to pick it off with, then you would have to do it around that. You know what I mean? Or you could do it around it. So, you know, there's a lot of possibilities with that sort of stuff. And one of the ones that the lady who ran the class had is she had done a bowl where she had done a series of sort of triangular things along the rim that were, you know, and you had to line it up so it's geometric. The problem with geometry, like same thing with the Celtic knotwork, is if you're doing something geometric, if you screw it up, if you screw up the alignment, it like jumps out at you. So you have to be very careful about how you align those things up before you actually start painting. But the beauty of this is it's just basic acrylic paint. So if you don't like the design on your piece, you can just sand it off and start again.
You know, Matt, he's not watching. He's busy right now, but Dean Grimes can probably use that to infill the bottom of a piece he recently turned for us that became a funnel.
He'd have to put some wood. He'd have to put some other wood in there.
Now.
Yeah. Y'all keep it real for me.
Come on now.
Go for it, Dean. Go for it and send me the piece and I'll paint it. How's that?
I'll tell you what, I'll just go ahead and send it to you.
And I can do whatever I want with it, huh?
There you go, brother. It's all yours.
Perfect lampshade.
Nice funnel.
You know, that would make a great lampshade. I've got a lamp over my table saw there's just a bulb that needs one of those.
There you go. It's 3/4 of the way done for you.
Yeah, we're always working here, always working.
All you got to do is accessorize it.
Thank you, Matt.
All right.
Matt, that is
Thanks,
great.
Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Matt, I'll communicate with you tomorrow about the demo.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
I look forward to talking to you, man.
I think Randy wanted to say something.
The combination of those dots and anti-shake cameras and such made those dots look like they were moving.
Well, I got to tell you, it looked a little bit like that on my screen too. These were all like pearlescent and metallic paints, so they look kind of weird here. I'm looking. I don't know. It was interesting. It looked that way on my screen too.
I actually have a platter that I bought in Australia Aboriginal painting that I can show if somebody wants to look at it.
Yeah, I'd love to see
Who
it.
is this?
I didn't do this.
Who is this?
Bob Clark.
There you go.
Yeah, and they make, they make these for tourists. Let's face it. But they sell these all over. The guy did sign it, so I don't know what that means. But they do all kinds of beautiful things with these dot paintings. You can see the gecko in the middle, and then of course they tell you everything represents family because they want you to buy it, I guess. But anyway, that's just a simple platter that they made and decorated with the dot painting.
That's
Looks
really
like
cool.
a lot of Navajo stuff out here as well.
Oh, that's usually sand, though. If you guys want to switch back to me a second, let me show you
That's beautiful, Bob. Beautiful.
After you do that, I have an Aborigine painting I can show you too that I got in Australia a couple years ago.
Drop it in the chat so we can go in order, please.
This is a big dot painting tool. This is not the kind I did most of those dots with. This is much bigger, but I just wanted to show this. Basically, there's these steel balls, and you dip them in the paint, and as you move down, the amount of paint that comes off them gets smaller and smaller. So when you do something like this, you're using a smaller version of that tool, and you start. The first drop is in the middle, and as you draw the line, it makes the dots smaller and smaller and smaller.
Did you draw that with a pencil first, the pattern with a pencil first, so you can get a precise scroll?
One of these I did. Some of them I just freehanded, but this one here, you can actually, let me see. This one here, you can actually see the little lines on there. Okay, and it was done with a I think it's a watercolor pencil that the stuff just supposed to wipe off with water. Just you damp paper towel and the lines will wipe right off. But you can see there's a few of them here from the stencil. But yeah, you use a watercolor pencil and it supposedly wipes right off. I haven't gotten around to doing that yet because I'm still unpacking from Campbell Stands on Retreat. But yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
They are all beautiful.
Well, thank you. It was just I was just playing around trying to experiment with some of the designs and stuff, but it turned out nice. I was happy. But there's a lot of options. So
and that's what we're getting tonight. A lot of options. We're still going gallery right here, and we're going to pop out to Robert Hodge. Hey, Robert.
Hey, how's it going? So I just finished this ladle here this morning.
Nice. Oh, beautiful.
It's made out of sweet gum. It's got some spaltine in it.
It's gorgeous, man. That's beautiful.
That is nice, Robert.
Thank you. I bought the rubber chuckies that were meant to hold these, but obviously this ball is way too big for the chucks that I have and what it would fit. I guess you could also use what y'all discussed a few weeks ago, using just like a dowel with some rubber tubing around it to hold it. But I just made a jam chuck. I think Ashley Harwood has a video where she does the same thing. But I tried taping it the first time. It kind of came loose, but then I just made it a little bigger and it fit in. If I had to do it again, I'd use a harder wood because there's some marks left from the jam chuck, which was also sweet gum. But this will be my YouTube video for the week that comes out on Sunday. So thought it turned out okay for.
Very nice, Robert. I like that. That's nice.
Thank you, Robert.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. Let me interject here before we pop on to the next gallery. Remember tonight, such as Robert just now told us he's got a YouTube coming out this week. If you have regular episodes of YouTube programs that you like to share with our membership, where do you do it? You go to our chat and you put it in for an event, and you tell our webmaster, I schedule these events and this is where it's at. He can add it to our event calendar. He can. And if Bob said it's coming out by this weekend, plan it. Let it go out there. We sharing information. Beat that horse to death. All right, who we got up next, Dane?
We got Trey up next.
Trey?
Yeah, Trey. Did he pop off?
He said he's got an Aborigine painting he wants to show.
I know.
I don't see him, and I can't call him up. All right. He said he had terrible internet connection. Might be one step worse than mine tonight. So we'll pop in. We'll catch him again in a little bit. If you got a Gallirat you like to show, all you have to do is tell us you have a Gallirat in the show, and we'll go to you and we'll look at it.
He had too many shrimp.
Yeah, he might have.
You can't ever have.
That was good, Bob.
Curious. Did you make any birdhouses?
Well, I got one here. That's this is one I made out of a piece of walnut and a piece of maple.
Oh, gorgeous,
And
Bob.
I painted the top and the finial blue.
Oh,
with
beautiful.
the Jasanya paints. I
Oh,
thought it turned out so neat.
Bob.
That is pretty, Bob.
I
You know
love
what?
those roofs.
Yes, I love it.
I got to get you scheduled for another birdhouse demo.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's beautiful, Bob.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what would look neat?
We'll be talking tomorrow.
Let me know when you want me to fly in.
Okay. It's 105 in the afternoon, so but yeah, right on.
Hey, Bob.
Did that go along with his pay?
Is that the Hummingbird Express?
Same with the airfare. The airfare is paid for by the club as well.
There you go. I like it.
Can't beat that deal.
The airfare is covered with my commission.
There you go,
That as
Bob.
well. Just
Dane-
insert it. Just
Dane,
insert it. Club does
Dane,
it.
it's been really, really close to 105 in the afternoons here, and that's horrible.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
It's you guys
Here
got the
too.
humidity, so.
That's why I haven't left the house.
Brenda, you had a question?
Yeah, when I seen that birdhouse of Bob's, I was thinking the paintings that Paul Hanneby had showed us, the white, the black on white,
That would work.
look like marble. That would be cool on the roof, wouldn't it?
It would be.
It would.
Yes.
Any marble effect.
Yeah, that'd be
Yes. Like marble roof.
Gorgeous.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Got a lot of technique going here tonight, folks. A lot of technique. And you can be
And that's
part
why we love Wednesday nights, Eddie.
of it. Pardon me?
That's why we love Wednesday nights.
I do too.
Highlight of my life.
Yep.
And all I keep going back is folks have said, how are you going to make that work? I didn't make it work. You made it work. That's just bottom line. I mean, it's not like we have regular members each week. We have members each week.
We made it work as a group.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I wasn't kidding about seeing some of the finest wood turning in the world. You see it here. You do. Because this is what comes out of the heart. That's why I started this, because people come to me and said, where can I get this information at? Where, I belong to this club and that magazine and this and this and this, but where do I get this real life information? Voila. That's French for look. So if we can do it, we'll do it here. It's about 25 minutes after the top of the hour at 9 o'clock p.m. Central, 34 minutes away. We pull the plug on a week, and but we'll take your information, show you pieces, answer your questions, listen to whatever you have, and if you got a lie better than mine, go for it. All right, we're going to go back to gallery. Hey, Dane, what's up?
Well, we're still waiting for Trey to come in. Otherwise, we're waiting for other folks to nominate their pieces here,
Oh, wait, you know what? You go to Joaquin.
Oh, look. Well, we got Billy. He just chimed in. I think he's got something to show again. Billy? Right back
Hang on,
there.
I got to fetch.
Got to go fetch it?
Yeah, I
All
got to
right.
fetch it.
Well, let me go check
We'll
on
come back
Joaquin.
to him. Go to Joaquin. Go to Joaquin.
Okay.
There he is.
Joaquin.
Trouble's in the house.
Okay.
Hi, Joaquin.
How y'all doing? I've been working on these, pendulum 5-point bases, and this one's mesquite, and it had some cracks in it. I was gonna put a bow tie in them, or as Emilio, he calls them pevas, But management, like Eddie says, wouldn't let me do that. So this is some magnesite in there. It looks like turquoise. And so I put that in the cracks.
I'm voting with management. That's awesome, dude.
That is gorgeous.
It looks
Absolutely
beautiful.
gorgeous.
Very nice.
Very nice. What kind of wood you say that was?
It's mesquite.
Sweet.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh,
piece.
it's beautiful.
Love it.
Thank you. And then I showed this one about a month ago. I did it. And I've got this friend, he does the, what do you call it? Basket weave, illusion and such. And he started
don't
on
have
it,
patience
brought it in for show and tell the other day. And I said, well, I want to show it on Captain X. He's not finished with it. He's going to do some design in here.
Ooh.
It's like he does this here. This is a smaller one. I turn him and do the beads, and he does the painting.
That's a good
gorgeous.
He's got an Etsy account. But we've been trading off. I've been mentoring him on wood turning, and he has taken me and a couple other turners. In fact, Glenn Dordak is on here, and he's teaching us to carve a bird.
Oh, for crying out
Oh,
loud.
wow.
Oh, wow. Gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
And dragonflies.
Nice.
Not only
He
birds,
carved the
but dragonflies.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
And then-
really cool.
Awesome.
That's a fresh piece of wood,
Wow.
2x4 that he took and painted it and put all this moss-looking stuff on it and carved that. Mine's not anywhere close to this, and it never will be. We didn't even got to painting them yet. We've just started carving the feathers and such, but this is a trade-off we're doing. I just thought I would share that with you.
Oh, that's
That's
beautiful.
gorgeous. That is
Okay,
gorgeous.
you're
Joaquin,
gonna have
you
to
know-
make a birdhouse now.
I'm trying to get on that birdhouse. That's our next club challenge, Bob, is birdhouses. Yeah, gonna do that.
Joaquin, you know what I say about carving?
What's that?
I'm not old enough yet.
Well, we're not talking about knives. We're talking about these Fordham micro carvers, all power carving. We're not talking about doing
Oh,
so it's
okay.
a lot more fun with these Fordham power tools.
Got it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I just don't have
it still
the-
takes
I
time.
still don't have the patience for it, though.
Yeah, that's where I want to get is carving on the vessels, silhouette of a bird or turtle or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, I've done a few vases and whatnot, and even using the Dremel with it. Yeah, they look nice after you're done, but oh my God,
It is a lot of work. Yes, it sure is. Yeah.
if you want it done right, yeah. But
Thank you,
clear stuff.
guys.
Thanks for sharing that bird. That's awesome. Telling me it was a real nice piece.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I think I've got another 6 weeks to go before I finish mine or more.
Right on.
Okay,
All right,
we'll
let's
be here
go
when
back-
you do.
Okay.
Let's
Thank
go
you.
back to Robert. Hey, Robert.
Okay, so
I'm a
this
vendor
is
now.
a piece of Chinese tallow crotch piece that I got from my neighbor. I heard a chainsaw from inside my house, and so I ran outside like a kid with a ice cream truck, and I saw that it wasn't pine getting cut down, so I was like, asked if I could have a few pieces, and this sat outside in my driveway for maybe 4 or 5 months, which I guess developed some spalting. But I thought it turned out really nice as far as the grain.
That's amazing. Beautiful.
That's killer character in there.
Yeah,
Great
and this
stuff.
is like a trash tree around here, so people will always be trying to cut them down. So
That's a really pretty piece.
Nice.
thank
It
you.
is.
Really?
I seen the
What
shark
kind
on
is
the
it?
back of it.
It's
Kinda.
Chinese tallow. I think they
Nice.
also call it a popcorn tree, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we call them popcorn trees here in Florida.
Okay.
It turns really pretty, and it's really, really light. It's surprising
Yeah,
how
it's light.
how light it is.
Well, then
but
I hope
man,
my
it finishes nice.
touchers down.
Did you stain that at all, or is that
No,
just,
no, it's just Mahoney's walnut oil. So I guess it got maybe a little bit more yellow.
But that's the
really-
natural wood, the coloring.
Well, it's got the spalting, but it's also a crotch, so you can see kind of the feathering.
Oh, yeah, it's got
the feathering.
That is gorgeous.
I turned another
Yes,
piece,
it
and
is.
it's just kind of a plain color. There's not much yellow or black in it, but
this one's real pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I thought
gorgeous.
so too.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Chinese
I
tallow
love
I've turned spalted very
Hold it,
quickly.
hold it steady right there, Brenda. What do you see?
Oh, don't start it, man.
You
See,
had
nothing on
color,
that.
didn't you?
So at the,
There's a
so at
shark
the
on the
bottom
back.
left, so at the
Is
bottom
there?
left right there, you've got daffodils.
Daffodils, okay.
Oh,
That's
right
at
there.
7 o'clock. That's
I
daffodils.
see a mountain, a long, thin mountain.
Yeah.
Y'all know you're scaring away new members. Y'all do know that, right?
All I see is a pretty piece of wood.
That's it. Thank you.
It's
There you
gorgeous.
go.
Nice job, Robert.
Thank
There's
you.
the shark.
Good job.
Good job, Robert.
Yes,
All
Very
right,
nice.
let's go to the shirt.
Who?
Talk to us, Doug.
Who?
Doug, which?
The shirt.
Oh, look.
Our
Hey,
Doug.
look at that. There's hair on his
Y'all been
head.
out of the military that long? You don't
What
remember
is
what
that?
shirt means?
Oh,
It's
look at
getting
that.
there.
Got hair.
I
Even
ran
on
a comb through it
I
today
like
just to see what would happen.
Like you turned into a hippie to me.
I know.
I know, right?
Is there a
I
ponytail?
the
Is
comb
there,
over.
Oh,
is
my
there a
God.
man bun on that? Is there a man bun on that thing? Look.
He's
That's
gonna
right,
be
you're
collecting
retired
rubber
Please don't
bands
do a
for
man
long.
bun.
You're
Oh, look,
retired now, aren't you?
Not
Okay,
completely
sorry.
officially, but I'm using up all my leave days. So July 31st is my last.
Terminal leave.
All right.
God bless you.
Terminal leave.
August 1st, I'll truly be a civilian. So I guess technically I'm still subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice right now.
There you go.
Well, when you're on vacation.
Right.
No 3510s needed from you.
So Freedom Pens. I dropped off a batch today. I had one of the turners specifically asked if I could drop them off to military police, and that did happen. So I took the collection that I've been building up that y'all have been sending me. So honestly, I don't know how many pens I dropped off today, but it was a lot. And so those all went to a military police unit. So, and they were extremely happy and appreciate it. Thank you for everybody participating in this. Okay, on to the bowls that I made. So if you follow me on Facebook, these are the two recent ones I had been working on that came out of the same log that my older sister and her friend loaded into a minivan and then took to my mom's house. I'd drive to Phoenix. I see the van sagging in the back. I'm like, how did you get this thing in the van? Anyway, I drove it home. The two bowls I got out of it. I did call my sister and I asked her, I thought you loved me. She said, what's wrong? And I said, I'm going to have to take a bath in Goo Gone or some kind of solvent to get all the sap off. Anyway, so you can see I got some baking soda there. I want to show you what I did. So instead of filling the wood cracks with just shavings and CA glue, I used the baking soda trick. I don't know how many of y'all have tried it. I had seen it done a bunch of times, but I had not done it myself. So I tried it. I really liked it. Brenda, do you see anybody there? I kind of thought I saw Mother Mary right there, but I don't know.
Yes, yes. See it.
What is the baking soda trick?
So the baking soda, you put it in the crack just like you would your shavings, and then you add CA glue to it, and it just becomes a really hard substance that fills your crack. And then, but it turns and sands off really easy too.
Oh, cool.
So just regular.
Yeah, I've seen Ken Tippin use that.
So then this was getting really messy. So then I really put my thinking cap on and thought, well, why don't I just put the baking soda in a little bottle? It was so much easier. Don't tell my wife. Okay. Now this was the second that I tried. I really like this one a lot better, except I don't know if I'll be able to catch the ring in there, maybe with the light. But you've heard of ring around the collar? Well, I wound up getting ring around the vacuum chuck because the lacquer wasn't totally dry when I flipped it around. So there's been a few choice words when I took it off.
There it is. It popped in.
Did it?
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah. I gotta fix that. But this was a really cool kind of barking and whatever that was on there. So I was able to keep it.
Very nice.
And it worked out. Now, Billy and Doug Miller were watching me turn this one. And they were laughing how much of the natural resin was in there. But check this out. I can get it to come.
Ooh, yes.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Go
That is cool.
Ponderosa pine.
Yeah,
That's part of turning pine right there.
that's a lot of sapling.
Yep, my stepdad in Georgia would have called that fat wood.
Yeah, buddy.
It was a huge big mess. And then, so one quick story that only wood turners can really appreciate happened to me. My local club, a lot of us will meet on Tuesday mornings at a restaurant not far from my house. I happened to bring those 2 bowls, doing our little show and tell in the restaurant. There's a family that I guess had been kind of watching us. And as I was leaving, a guy walks up to me and he says, "Did you make those?" And I said, "I did." And he goes, "Do you sell them?" And I said, "Well, these were gifts, but sometimes I do." And he goes, "Wow, I really like these." And I said, "I don't live too far from here. If you want to come check out my shop and I'll show you what I got." And visited me. And when he left, I had $190 in my pocket. I was kind of hello.
Nice. Great job.
Nice.
Nice job.
Whose work did you sell to him?
Mostly freedom pens. Mostly freedom pens.
You're not safe here, Doug. You know that, right?
Is anybody safe?
That's my side hustle right there. Them freedom pens.
Yeah, right.
You know, he's kidding.
Right?
He really is. He's kidding. Doug is one of our, if we can have that, one of our founding members. When I wanted to kick this off, I needed to ask turners all over the world if they would be involved. Doug said yes. He's been involved, done some great demos for us. I couldn't make a copy of it, but I saw on Facebook a picture of Doug with a steel chainsaw, and it like he was going to action. It was hard to tell because blonde hair and a tutu and all that, but I guarantee that was Doug Rowe.
That's how we get out of it.
All right, who's up for gallery tonight? Got a few minutes to go. You on some show? You got a question or whatever? This is it. Billy again?
I couldn't remember if I showed this last time or not.
Oh, I don't remember.
This is it's quarter sawn Arizona ash. It spalted on me sitting in the shop. I didn't know it would do that, but I wanted to make a river bowl. I left the bark on, so I squared this up and put it in a form and turned it. And as I was getting ready to turn it, I thought, I don't want to waste all this pretty wood out here in the corners by turning this into a round platter. I want to make it square. So it's squared, and I sanded everything up. It's got deft lacquer. Only problem is I was out of spray, so I brushed it. And I'm not terribly happy with the finish, but it's got some shine. And again, I buffed it out with Axe and abrasive paste and polish and restoring paste. But I love the fact that I kept it square and kept all of this character in from the spalted ash.
Yeah.
And I'm relatively happy with it.
It's beautiful, Billy.
Looks
Thank
great.
you.
It looks wonderful.
Thank you, Billy, for popping in with that.
Good job, Billy.
Oh,
hey,
right.
One more thing. You were talking about scrap wood earlier. I mean, cutoffs.
Extra wood.
I got a phone call as I was getting ready to turn a piece of spalted maple, and a local guy that works in a wood shop said, "I've got this pile of cutoffs that I'm going to throw in a dumpster if somebody don't come get it." So I ran down there this morning with my truck and loaded the bed up and came home with a bunch of really nice cutoffs of walnut and some maple and some cherry and something that I thought looked like mahogany. He said maybe African mahogany. They call it sipo.
Ellie.
I hadn't heard of it before, but it's really pretty. So
Okay, here's the deal.
Stuff coming down the line with made that out of that too.
Okay, thank you, Billy. Oh, here's the deal. I'm looking for a ride to go to SWAT. If we could pass by Billy's, you know, yeah, it's an idea. Really, it's an idea.
Well, it's kind of on the way.
Yeah. Hey, you know, tonight and a couple of times we've had members. All right, we've had members mention that they finished it with hacks. I'm looking for a member to do a demonstration / explanation of using the different types of polishing grits and polishing materials. Axe or similar. If we could get that set up, we talked about it a lot, and it can probably be used on your turning piece, and it may improve the quality of your turning piece. So if you'd like to do that with us, just let us know. Dane Chandler handles our demonstrations, and he'll sign you up just as soon as you blink. So that's it. Let's go to Matt Harbour. Matt, you're up on deck, bud.
All right. Well, I don't know if I've shown this to you guys. This is a piece of hard maple. We were talking about carving stuff.
Whoa.
Earlier. This is all a single piece of wood. The black is just thinned acrylic paint.
Very nice.
But this was done with. What's that?
That's outstanding.
Thank you. I did this after I took a class with Dixie Biggs, who I strongly recommend if you want to learn how to do things like carve leaves. This was a lot of fun. I did it mostly with power tools, and it took a long time to do. So.
Oh, I was going to ask you where you bought the leaves.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine give me individual wood turned leaves. Say, here, you can use these. And I had another guy say, I want one of those chatter tools.
You can buy them at Deep Valley.
That's awesome, Matt.
I had another guy say, I want one of those chatter tools you use to make that texture with.
Oh, you got them from Sammy Long up in Michigan.
Yeah, this is all the same sugar maple leaf. I use the same pattern for every single leaf. So they're all the same size, but they overlap and the veins are different and so on.
That's really cool.
So I can tell you the mistakes I made doing this. Okay. You guys want to hear them?
Sure.
Okay. When I made this piece originally, I was turning pieces with sharp edges. So you can see how the edge here is fairly sharp. The problem with that is that you end up with leaves like this, where they all of a sudden make a very hard downturn. Okay, so don't do that. Make your contours rounded. You'll get a better effect. The second thing I did is when I turned the rim, I did not go down to the bottom here. I had to carve it. So as a consequence, like in a few places, you can see where the rim is not perfectly round. So if you're making a piece to carve, make your contours round and turn to the background first before you take the piece off the lathe and start carving on it.
Hey, Matt, if that's so bad, you can just send it to me and take it off your hands.
I got a price on it. If you want to know what the price is, I'd be happy to send it to you.
Hey, you know what? Get this. Just as you showing that, right? I'm looking on my iPad here at the AAW symposium. Just as you show that, I look down. They're doing a class on carving leaves on turned objects.
Who's doing it?
I don't know. I don't. How do?
KEHS? I'll tell you.
Is it KEHS?
I'm sorry?
KEHS.
K-E-H-S.
Yeah. Good.
I don't know who that is, I
I don't
guess.
know if that's who's doing the class or I don't know.
Is
I'm
there a
not
Ron
really.
Keys? One of the guys we had at Campbell's this past week was Sammy Long, and Sammy taught a class in leaf carving where he basically did the same techniques that I used on this piece or similar techniques and the similar tools. If you want to know more about that, I'd be happy to share my list of burrs that I used on this. There's a couple of them that are very useful. I use something called I'm getting an echo. Is that just me?
No, I hear it too.
I hear it. We're all hearing it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
I use stump cutters, and you can get those at MDI Wood Carver. They sell them in sets. They sell them individually. The veins are proud. They're raised, and the way you do that is you use a ball or a sphere stump cutter, and you basically carve on each side to make the veins raised. So I'm happy to share any of the techniques I used on that if anybody's interested. So just, all my information is in Captain Eddie's special list. So contact me if you want to know more.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yep.
And he's talking about special list. Matt is one of the members who has provided his information to go on our contact list. Not required. It's a volunteer thing, not committed. It's just what we do. Sue, what you have?
Well, I took a couple of courses from Dixie. Dixie Bakes is fantastic. Her hollow forms are wonderful. And basically, you've got a turn piece of wood. Now, this was the first thing I did with Dixie. So she's trying to teach you how to turn on a turn piece of wood. This was originally up higher. This is one side of the leaf, and this is the other side of the leaf. And yeah, I did a lot of this with balls. The back I did with pyography. And so that was the first piece that I learned to do from Dixie. The second piece I did, this is on cherry, with 3 different oak leaves. And
if you pull it back, it's really hard to see.
How's
and
that?
higher and higher.
How's
and
that?
to move to your right. It's off camera almost to one
My
side.
right? How's that?
That's
Can you
better.
raise your left foot now?
They're messing with you, Sue. They're messing with you.
Fantastic.
Sue, those are lovely.
That's okay.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Man, that is nice.
Oak leaf. This is another kind you find up north. But
Tilt it around a little bit, back and forth, so we can kind of see there you go. Yeah, you can see the
and
different.
The back of it, I just did with a ball burr.
Yep.
It was a rotary tool, not a Fordham. It was a little less expensive, but it's not a Dremel. So, but it was. Dixie gives a wonderful class. So if you're ever in the area with Dixie Bakes showing a class, you'd want to take it. She's very good.
Yep.
So yeah.
Nice.
Thank
Nice
you.
job, Susan.
Thank you.
They're messing with you, Sue. It's okay.
It's okay. It's late Wednesday night, and it's okay.
Thank you,
This
Sue.
means we like you.
I just wanted to see it better.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got you. That's okay, Matt. Payback.
Yeah, payback, right? There you go, Stu.
Always.
Always,
You should know there's nothing sacred in this club.
I know, and that's why
What-
we love this club.
What really disappointed me was no one asked Brenda, what do you see in this piece? I mean, y'all do it to the other pieces, but I said, Brenda, what do you see here?
I seen a leaf.
We're just slow learners. We learn not to ask.
Yeah.
Hey, she sees a leaf.
Yeah.
All right, folks. In about 5 minutes, we're going to pull the plug on it. We got time for a couple more galleries. If you have them, go ahead and pop up that. Jane Channel is handling our galleries. I thought Bob Grinstead was back. Bob did a great demonstration for us tonight using epoxy finishes. I actually showed, if you came in late, you can see the repeat on our channel, on our website when Dave posted. But he showed the rig, and there's versions of that rig that you can make in your shop. And I'm going to see if I can work it all out. I drew it while we were doing a demonstration. Now I got to figure out what I drew. But it's something you can do in your shop, and it's not a great cost. And somebody mentioned, how fast do you turn it? Here's the deal. How fast can you get the wife to turn it? Because all you have to do is put a handle on it. You know, if it works for you, let us know, and we'll send flowers to the hospital.
And that's how the fight started.
Yeah. You living dangerously now.
We'll send flowers to the hospital you're in. All right. Who's up, Dane? Anybody you got in the box there?
No, we don't have anybody at the moment.
All right.
We
Well,
got a few of
I
our,
got something.
our members that are who? You got something?
I got something.
What's your name?
Looks like-
I can pull you up. Keep talking.
Hello.
there he is.
Hello.
I can pull you up.
There he is.
Yeah, I got something. Well, I got two things, and I don't know if it's hot where you are, but here where I live, it's so hot. I saw a dog chasing a fire hydrant today. Anyway, I had this walnut limb.
Oh.
So I was going to
Beautiful.
turn a vase,
Wow, that's nice.
turn a vase out of it, and I wanted to leave the sapwood on it, and of course sapwood is lots softer than the heartwood, and what happened is it split on me all the way up. So I put some rubber bands on it, tried to put it together, and I was successful in getting this up here pulled together, but I still had a crack here on down. So I took CA glue and some copper powder, filled it in. So
It's beautiful.
That is pretty.
That is gorgeous.
That is
Very
gorgeous.
nice.
but it came out
You had
pretty
What wood
good, I
was it
thought.
again? What
It's
kind of wood was
walnut.
it again?
It's walnut.
What did you finish it with?
Regular oil finished. Min-max antique oil.
Do you use a hollowing jig?
Yes, I got a Jameson Alwyn.
Yeah. Notice you,
Lyle
you do a
Jameson
lot of
outfit.
really long, deep hollowing things. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Loved it.
Y'all know that outlaw Lyle Jameson is going to be at SWAT. So
Yeah.
he will let you play with that tool.
Well, I got two of his Halloween outfits. So anyway, this is I had cut up a burl to make some bows, and I had a small piece of burl left over. This is big leaf maple, and so I turned a little hollow form out of it. And,
Nice. There you go.
Very nice.
put it on a stem.
Yeah,
That's
walnut
spectacular.
stem, and then the base is walnut, and the finial's walnut. So
That's
it fits
beautiful.
in there like that.
Very nice work.
That's awesome.
Very
Very
nice.
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 If that's in your way, I've got a shelf that I could put that on here at my house.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I don't think you got enough room, Bob.
Send him a check.
You'll have to.
I have an empty shelf in Florida.
You have to fight my wife for it, I think. Yeah, she don't want to give that up. And
That
by
is
the way,
great.
I was looking on YouTube at one of the meetings about a month or so ago, and this guy had a problem with oak, and he was trying to make it look like English oak. And
Yes.
I used to do a lot of flat work, making tables and cabinets and stuff. And what we would do, we'd take the oak and we would fume it with ammonia. For example, say you turn a bowl, and you can put it down in the garbage can and put a jar of ammonia down there, open and close it up, and that ammonia will turn that oak brown. And I think that's how the English and the French turn there. Like if they're going to do a whole, like a courtroom with oak, well, they'll close it up and put ammonia in there and fume the oak. So anyway, I don't know if that's useful for anybody or not.
Green and Green Furniture used to do that too.
Do what?
Green and Green Furniture used to do that. They
Yeah.
fume their
Right.
stuff and get it darker.
I've
they
tried
fume
that
the
a
oak
couple of
with,
times. But you can't use the stuff you buy at the grocery store. You've got
No,
to
no,
buy. You've got to buy the strong chemical grade stuff.
The stronger, you got to be more concentrated, and
Oh,
you
didn't know
got to
that.
be careful too. You don't want to. Okay.
Wait.
pretty,
You
though.
don't want to. You had a caution there. Let's go to the caution. You said,
You got to be real careful with that ammonia. You got to be very careful. And if say you got a bowl out of oak and you want to fume it, you can put it down in the garbage can and set your can or a jar full of ammonia down that, then cover it up. And don't have it in your shop. Okay, put it in a room or in a place where there's plenty of ventilation. So, got to be careful with chemicals.
Yeah, those fumes will get you.
Yeah.
great. All right. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
One more tip tonight. That's what we had. It's coming up on the top of the hour, folks. And each week we try to pull the plug right around 9 o'clock Central Time. Or this crowd is just talking to the next day. It's happened before. I mean,
Yes,
early
we will.
we had 5 or 6 hour tapes.
True story. True story.
Nothing wrong with that. It's just we don't want members to think what they're missing out on. And I mean, I don't think Brenda will be with us to describe the art in the pieces too late. But
I'll be awake till midnight.
Go for it. Go for it, Brent.
Always a good drink.
If
And
you think
you
she
folks
sees
do-
things now, wait till midnight.
And you folks see that we tease everybody about everything. We have a couple of rules. Be kind, no obscenities, and whatever you do, it's not we have a no but guarantee. I can see you doing something. I can say, I like that but. No, you can't. There's no but. No. If you have an option or a comment about it or an idea, share it with us. But everything I turn, everything you turn, comes from right here. And we're all here to share it. And we'll be back again next Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock Central. That doesn't work out. We'll be here about 5:30. So,
Eddie, I gotta tell you, we love you, but you need a haircut.
Oh no!
Which one?
There's the butt. There's the butt. I heard a butt
The
in
one
there.
over your
I
ear.
heard
there.
the butt.
Oh my goodness.
I
There
had
you
to
go.
get the butt, Eddie. I had to
That
get
works.
the butt.
There you go.
I
Why
saw a
y'all
guy
picking on us bald guys?
50
Speaking of
something
which,
years
bald
ago.
guy was picking on another bald guy, talking about hair underneath a do rag. What's up with
Yeah.
that?
Is that why you're not wearing the do-rag tonight, Dean?
Yeah, there you go.
It's too damn hot to be wearing anything right now.
Yeah, that's a
Tell
truth.
me about it.
About 55 years ago when I joined the Air Force, I saw a guy put his hat on like this, and the drill instructor walked up, took his hat off, took a mark slot and wrote front right here on the inside of his hat. I saw that guy 5 years later in Okinawa or Guam, and I looked at it, I said, I remember you, and he pulled the hat off, he said, I still got the hat. Because we all learn. Again, folks, that's it for this Wednesday evening. I will see you back again next week. Invite a friend. Bring them along. There's nothing sacred. We're all having fun.
Save the
Tell a
chat.
friend, bring a friend.
Save the chat. Bring a friend. Right, Donald? Donald will tell you to save the chat.
I know.
I was about to, but
Thanks,
Brenda
Eddie.
beat
Good
me.
night, all.
Good
Yeah,
night.
one question. What happened to our safety guy?
I don't know. I haven't heard from Jeff in a couple of
I
weeks.
don't know. I haven't heard from Jeff in forever.
Yeah,
Months.
you know, all right, there it is. We have an opening. We need a safety director. Hey, we'll make you the senior. Get this, the senior safety director. That's it.
Right?
I'll say good night. Good night, John Boy.
And upgrade your office.
Good night,
Good
Rebecca.
night, everybody.
y'all.
Good night, Ken.
Happy-
Everybody have a great
Happy
week.
Father's Day
Have
to
a
all
safe
the
week,
fathers.
everyone.
Night, everyone.
Night, everybody.
Happy turn.
I've had fun.
See y'all next week.
Y'all did too.
Stay safe.
Billy, I'll be talking to you tomorrow.
What if Dane calls you? Watch out. He got the hook in you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well, I
Hey,
already
Captain,
know. I already
hang
know
out.
he's calling me tomorrow. So
I just use a saying that, just get them all.
Get them all.
I
Thank
just
you,
want to get
folks.
some more. I just want to get some more.
Yeah.
I did get one new one tonight.
Good night,
Awesome.
folks. Take care. Be safe, please.
you too.